So you make movies, huh?
I produce feature motion pictures.
I got an idea for a movie. That's good, Ray.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
No, please.
What's the matter?
Do we have to hear the kissing part?
Someday you may not mind so much.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
I'm in love with you.
Snap out of it!
I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond.
James Bond.
I'm a man.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Were you always funny?
Hey, what is this, an interview? We're supposed to be making love.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
I'll have what she's having.
If you win, you win. If you lose, you still win.
I'll be back.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Perfect Movies. This is going to be one heck of a discussion, so I encourage you to fasten your seatbelts and hold on to your hats, because on this show, we are going to have a round table of special guests that are going to describe 5 different movies that they consider to be perfect in their own special way. We also want to hear from you. So if this is your first time here at And I Quote Channel, welcome. We thank you for being with us. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. And if you have any movies that you think are perfect or near perfect, could be any genre, any type of movie featuring any kind of cast, any kind of crew, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. We'll bring those up as we go along with the show. But I am certainly not alone in this discussion of movies that I consider to be perfect. Please welcome our first panelist. He is a newcomer to the And I Quote Channel stage. He is the one and only Chad P. is up in here. What's up, Chad? How you doing? You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, it'd be, that would help.
Yeah.
Doing pretty good. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing good. Good, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. It's good to have you here, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say about some movies that you would consider to be perfect. But also joining us here on this stage is someone who apparently has been living in someone's playhouse for over 4 years now. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that set was still around. And he is a newlywed. He's been married for 10 days now in this new year of 2024. Please welcome Dave Mattingly to the stage.
Thank you. My wife said I was childish, and I said to get out of my playhouse, get her on.
All right. Well, we're very happy to have you here, Dave. It's good to see you. Happy New Year, and congratulations on your marriage and all that great stuff. We wish you nothing and the missus happiness for many, many, many years to come. So thank you for being here. Do greatly appreciate it. Also, joining us is someone who's, well, he's got opinions for days. And he runs his own YouTube channel, and he talks about a fandom that's only been around for almost 50 bloody years. Please welcome Case to the stage, a.k.a. the Dutch Star Wars guy. Case, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm becoming part of the, and I quote, furniture, it seems, because last weekend to watch along, next weekend to watch along. It's fun. I like joining and look forward to not being controversial at all with any of the movies that we've picked today.
No, of course not. No, we're all going to be nice, respectful, cordial. We're not going to have any problems whatsoever. Yeah, that's right. So with that being said, also a person who is joining us who is no stranger to the And I Quote Channel stage. He is the award-winning, best-selling crime fiction writer. He is the best crime fiction writer in the world today. And not only that, he is the president of what is known as the Jaws, a.k.a. Bruce the Shark's fan club. Bobby Nash is here with us. Bobby boy, good to see you, my man. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back. You know, your montage now has made me add some new items to my list.
Well, we may or may not get to those movies a little bit later on. We shall see. You never know. Crazier things have happened on these shows here at And I Quote channel, which you can follow us on social media. Should you so choose, the links are located in the description. So there you go. Shameless plug, right? Shameless plug. And last but certainly not least, joining us here on this show known as Perfect Movies Episode 2 is the one who, well, someone else may have coined the phrase before this person, but I think he does a better job of it. Please welcome Austin316, aka Austin Pez, is in the building once again. What's up, Austin? Good to see you.
You might as well just make me a co-host on this channel at this point, the way it's going to be for 2024.
Yeah, you know, it's starting to feel that way. Maybe, but at least I won't be unoriginal.
I'm a professional co-host. It's what I do on multiple channels, actually.
And it's all good, you know. And maybe we will make you a series regular, but at least I won't be unoriginal. But you know, if you have a problem with that, we can step outside. We can figure it out. But anyway, that's a line from another movie for another time. So with that being said, we're going to turn things over to our first panelist, who is going to share with us 5 movies that they consider to be near or perfect in their own opinions and in their own minds, and the reasons why they chose those particular movies. So, Dutch Star Wars guy, Case, spotlight's on you. What do you got for us?
Well, I mean, it's in my name there. So I have to go with a Star Wars movie, and which is the Star Wars movie that I think pretty much everyone considers to be perfect. The Empire Strikes Back. Now, on the other Perfect Movies podcast, I watched that one, and there were people who were like, oh no, The Empire Strikes Back can never be a perfect movie because it only sets up for another movie. It has an open ending. And I'm like, shut up. This movie, start to finish, is goddamn perfect. There is not a single thing wrong with this movie. And I'm talking, of course, about the theatrical cut. And I would even consider the special edition to be pretty perfect because all the changes they made are not hurting that original movie. And actually, in a sense, I am actually kind of happy that they inserted the Emperor as his normal form in it. So I think both versions of this movie are absolutely perfect. The writing is just impeccable, where they all are split up after the Battle of Hoth, and it all comes together at the end. Best plot twist in the history of cinema, with Vader revealing that he's Luke's father. Spoiler alert for a almost 45-year-old movie. I can watch this movie any day, any time of the week. It doesn't matter. You can wake me up to watch this movie. I love it so much. And yeah, I honestly do not think there's a single thing wrong with it, you know? That's also the thing. Someone did mention Star Wars in the previous one, and I'm like, well, definitely not the special edition, because that special edition is very flawed, I feel. Anywho, that's The Empire Strikes Back. And the next one is my favorite Steven Spielberg movie. And the funny thing is, when people say Steven Spielberg, they think of Indiana Jones, E.T. No, my favorite, a movie that I can rewatch a lot, which is saying something, because it's Saving Private Ryan. A lot of people will always think that Saving Private Ryan is the Normandy beach scene, and after that, nothing happens. You're wrong. After that, it only starts the story, the search for Matt Damon, apparently. It is, I mean, the Normandy beach scene is just absolutely perfect. The absolute craft of Steven Spielberg really shines in this movie, and I think maybe even more so in some of his other movies. The way that he was able to show us D-Day, World War II, I think it's very tense. And even after the Normandy beach scene, when they get to a French town and they want to save a family, and then Vin Diesel gets shot, and there's so much tension going on because there's a sniper in the tower, and you know that he can see everything. And then there's an absolutely perfect shot of the sniper from the team shooting the sniper through the, how do you call it? I don't know the word for it
scope
right now. The scope, yeah. I mean, that's just perfect in and of itself. And I also think the end battle in the town, the way that plays out, pretty much everyone dies with it, but it's so gritty. It's a true war movie, and I love it. So speaking of war movies, I have another war movie, which is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, with Inglourious Basterds. A lot of people will probably say that their favorite Tarantino movie is Pulp Fiction, and I can't really blame you for that because it's really awesome. But I think with Inglourious Basterds, he was able to do something a bit more and not have an annoying character in there because I'm not a big fan of Bruce Willis's love interest in Pulp Fiction. So I think Inglourious Basterds, like the opening scene alone, is just absolute perfection. Quentin Tarantino's writing, the way that Christoph Waltz delivers it, and what I also really love about this movie, because I'm European, so I understand the fact that we want to speak our own language in our own country. Only 30% of this movie is actually in English. The rest is in German, French, Italian, whatnot. And I really appreciate that, being a European, considering these are people in Europe talking to each other. And yes, I know that whenever they do some kind of an accent in a movie that emulates the idea that they're in a foreign country, but I really appreciate that in this movie they just speak in French to each other when they're French. So there's that. Yeah, I don't have much more to say. Then I move on to an animated movie, my favorite animated movie, my favorite Pixar movie, Inside Out. It's fairly recent, I'm aware of this, but this movie hit me to my core. Oh my God. I cry so hard every single time I see this movie, and I've seen this movie countless times already, and I'm going to see it countless more times, but the entire idea of seeing what is going on inside someone's head, and especially the fact that you have an imaginary friend, because I myself had an imaginary friend, and there is at one point in your life that you lose that, and the moment that Bing Bong fades away, it just breaks me every single time. I don't know how that is for other people, but my God, I cry so hard. So yeah, Inside Out is the one that really stuck with me, and I think the writing is extremely clever. I think it should have won Best Original Screenplay over Spotlight, which is based on a true story. And I'm like, Inside Out was way more original, I feel. So I'm still upset about that. But Oscars get it wrong often. But anyway, moving on to my fifth movie, which is on my shirt, Blade Runner 2049. Every person in the history of sci-fi fandom will always say that Blade Runner is a great movie. And I watched it a bunch of years ago, and when I watched it, I was like, it's good. It's a bit old, a bit dated, but I think it's all right. And when they announced there was going to be a Blade Runner sequel, I was like, really? Are we going to get a Blade Runner sequel? What the hell? I think pretty much everyone had that idea because no one saw it in the theater. It completely bombed. No one wanted to see a Blade Runner sequel. But the reason that this works is because it has the greatest director working today working on this movie, Denis Villeneuve. He is an absolute master of his craft. And he also got every single person in to make sure this movie would work, because he got Hans Zimmer to score it, Roger Deakins to do the cinematography. And I think that everything about this movie works, and it is a truly great sequel to that original Blade Runner. It doesn't ruin anything about the original Blade Runner, because even the fact that people have been speculating, like, is Deckard the replicant? That still is a question after this movie. It doesn't really answer that, and I think it just really explores the world a bit better of Blade Runner. And yeah, I absolutely adore it. I will watch it every single year around October, 6th of October, because that's of course when the child of Deckard and Rachel was born. So yeah, those are my 5 movies. I think every single one of these movies I can watch any day. I think everything is perfect about these movies. I have no complaints about them. And now I'm just curious what the rest of the panel has to say about it.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that with us, Case. And for those of you, if someone's watching or listening to this and they're just joining us, welcome to Perfect Movies Episode 2. If you have movies that you consider to be perfect, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. More than happy to hear from you. And don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If this is your first time here at the Anti-Code channel, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Greatly appreciate it. And with Case kicking us off by revealing his 5 picks. Chad, what do you think about his list?
Truth be told, I absolutely loved his list because a lot of them were movies that I did consider. Inside Out is absolutely beautifully emotional and heartfelt. I love Glorious Bastards. That's the first Tarantino movie I saw in theaters. And sometimes I always do quote, "Let's go kill some Nazis." So it's a very quotable movie. And Empire Strikes Back, well, that's just, Phantom Menace, the Jar Jar Binks movie is better, but I digress. So, but no, I think they're pretty good choices. Although I will say I have not seen Blade Runner 2049 though. I do need to see that.
You should.
Good stuff. Good cinematography there, and the marketing campaign for that, especially the first teaser trailer with what was it, Agent K just walking into the distance and opening the door, and Decker coming out of the shadows. It's good stuff. If you've seen the marketing campaign earlier on in the process of the film, you know what I'm talking about. Dave Mattingly, what do you think about Case's picks for his 5 movies, respectively?
Empire Strikes Back, of course, was phenomenal. It revolutionized so many things. It was my favorite Star Wars movie for a long time, but Rogue One, in my opinion, is better. But still, Empire, for a very, very long time, was my favorite as well. Private Ryan, I'm not really a big war guy, but I do appreciate it for what it has done. Inglourious Bastards, again, not a big war guy. The one thing I really liked, though, besides all the languages, was the number 3 when they held the fingers up the wrong way, and that was the symbol of who they really were. And also, I speak Italian, the third best. Inside Out, the Pixar has not really done any bad movies, unless you consider like the Cars sequels. But Inside Out is fantastic, and Blade Runner 2049. I really loved the cinematography and all the sci-fi stuff that went into it, like the giant. What do they call it? The elevator tube down to the center of the earth, or whatever that was. That was really, really nicely done. A very good list. Very, very nice.
Excellent. What about you, Bobby Nash? What are your thoughts on Case's picks for 5 movies? I'm assuming you're familiar with Empire Strikes Back, though, right?
Yeah, I've seen that one a time or two. Yeah, it's it's a good list. I have not seen Inside Out, so I don't really know much about that one. I do love Saving Private Ryan. I think it's a great movie. Yes, everybody kind of focuses on the opening, but it's a great character piece. Once we get past the beach and into it, it becomes a great exploration of who these characters are, and I think they do a really good job of that. Inglourious Bastards is great. I love that one. I will say too, my favorite Tarantino movie is not Pulp Fiction; it's Reservoir Dogs. But Inglourious Bastards is really good. 2049 was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I've seen it once. I'm good. I don't ever have to see it again. So it was a good list. I like I said, I've seen all but one of them. So yeah.
You got a little bit of homework to do when we're done here. Inside Out is one of the best animated films that's been made in recent memory, respectively. So you should definitely sit your keister down on that couch and watch it. Prepare to cry a little bit, but Pixar movies have a way of doing that to people. So just
I'm sorry for spoiling it.
Yeah, bring tissues. Is what we're trying to say. And by the way, when you mentioned that other movie a moment ago, you don't tip? No, I don't believe in it. You don't believe in tipping. You know what these people make? They make nothing. Don't give me that. She don't make enough money. She can quit. Anyway, that's a story for another day entirely.
Excellent dialogue in that movie.
Well, that scene alone is my favorite scene in the whole gosh darn movie. Is that restaurant scene? For me, anyway. I can't speak for everybody, but that's I'm just saying. Anyway, aside from that, Austin, what do you think about Case's picks? Anything stand out to you there?
I would agree if I were to put a Star Wars movie on there, I'd put Empire. I don't agree with the argument that, it's just a setup for another movie. I think it's a completely self-contained story that does actually have an ending. It's just a dour one, and I don't mind dour endings. I might talk about one in one of my 5 picks that doesn't exactly have, the highest of endings. It doesn't mean it's not complete. Saving Private Ryan is one I haven't revisited in a while, but I think the only issue with that movie, and I think it is an issue, is that it peaks so high at the beginning that it's hard to it's like having a movie that's already gold but having like a platinum opening, and then it's just hard to overcome that hill once you've already gotten there. But I still do think it's a good movie. Inglourious Basterds, I have my issues with. It's about mid-tier Tarantino for me. I think the pinnacle scene you're talking about, Michael Fassbender, goes on for way too long, like a 35-minute scene, and I'm ready for it to be over with at that point. I think it just meanders. I don't like what happens with the projectionist character. I forget her name. I don't like the way she is outed in the movie and the violence that's done against her. And I think it doesn't mesh well with the kind of the way she's set up. So I have my nitpicks about Inglourious Basterds, but I still do think it's a good movie. Inside Out, I haven't seen since the theater. That's one that I need to go back to, but I remember it being pretty devastating when I saw it, and a great concept. And then I haven't seen Blade Runner 2049 because I can't stand the first Blade Runner. I can't make it through that movie.
Well, maybe I just made an argument. If you don't love the first Blade Runner, watch the sequel.
It's hard to tell if I like it or not. I've never been able to make it all the way through without falling asleep.
Yeah, it's like a 6-hour movie, man.
I've never been able to get through. I've tried a dozen times to get through that movie. It never fails to put me to sleep.
God, yeah, that's me with Dune. Oh,
yeah, the original Dune is terrible.
Oh wow, that's going way back there, Bobby.
Yeah, I may have the hot take on Blade Runner, but I'm not a fan. So yeah.
No, you're not alone. And by the way, before I share my thoughts on Case's list and we pass things on to our next panelist here on this show, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the person in the chat who has been chiming in with their 5 movies that they believe to be near or perfect. And it's David Mamina of Mamina Books and Games. If you're into dark fantasy, look him up on maminabooks.com. His first pick is Woke to Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yes.
His number 2 pick is Casablanca, one of the greatest movies of all time. So that's an excellent pick. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's a bit
overrated.
Maybe, but that's
I've actually never seen it.
Well, you might want to sit
Yeah.
down one day and watch it. It's pretty good. It's not like one of the greatest holiday movies of all time.
It's good. It's just, God damn it, it's overrated. Just relax. It's not the greatest movie ever. Just chill.
It is a bit. It is a bit. I will.
I understand if you like it, but fuck,
Yeah,
it's overrated.
No, I get it. By the way, it is warm in here. Well, you have your coat on. Oh yes. So do I? How did that happen? Because it's cold out. Yes. Also, he goes on to say The Godfather Part 2 is his number 4 pick. Sorry, David, haven't seen Godfather 2 yet. I'm the jury's out on that one. I gotta sit
I feel
down
like
and
that's
watch
on a lot of people's lists too.
Yeah, I haven't seen it though, so I can't comment. I've seen The Godfather, just not Godfather 2. And then he goes on to say his number 5 pick is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, the best MCU solo movie that's ever been made in the history of American cinema. So well done, David.
I actually agree with that one too.
Those are some good picks,
two of those made my list. Yeah.
Well, some of the ones he mentioned might be mentioned later.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but hey, we'll find out right as we go along. And if you have any movies that you wish to share with us, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat that you consider to be perfect. And don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. Welcome to Perfect Movies episode 2. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Let's see. Philip Miller goes on to say, boy, top 5 movies for me. I feel like I have seen so many good films that it's really hard to say which are my top 5 best. It is akin to going to the Academy Awards and truly deciding what truly is the best because they are so great. Well, Philip, if you think of 5 movies a little bit later on in this show, let us know in the comments. Let us know. And by the way, these don't have to be your all-time top 5. They can just be the first 5 movies that come to your mind. It doesn't have to be necessarily your ultimate top 5. I just want to make that clear. And that goes for
it also doesn't have to be the Academy Awards because they are often wrong.
Yeah, they get it wrong 99.999999999% of the time. So with that being said, our next panelist, I'm going to turn things over to this next person. The best crime fiction writer in the business today, Bobby Nash. My man. What are the 5 movies you picking for this one?
Well, as was just mentioned, Casablanca, I think is one of the greatest movies ever made, in my opinion. I absolutely love this movie, from the writing to the cinematography to just the characters, the story. It's just to me a perfect movie. It holds up very well. And it even takes on a bit of a different aspect today, because when it was originally released, World War II was still going on. And this is a movie about World War II. And they didn't know how it was going to end. And so seeing how they wrote it and put it together, not knowing the outcome, kind of gives it an extra flavor when you watch it today. Great cast, Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, just totally fantastic movie. I highly, and it just turned 80 last year. So that was on. And probably from the buildup that Ryan gave me at the beginning, you know that Jaws is going to make the list. Jaws is one of those movies that I've heard it referred to as a remote drop movie. If I see it on, I'm going to watch it. It's just one of those things where I think the movie works because of the problems that they had, instead of being a movie that's all about the shark. Because the shark didn't work so much, it becomes a story about these three men, and it becomes much more interesting because they become such interesting characters, and the way they interact with each other is just beautiful, and just well done movie. I could watch that one over and over and over again. I also had Captain America: Winter Soldier, which to me is still the best MCU movie to date. It works on multiple layers. It works as a superhero movie. It works as a thriller. It's just excellently written. And it's one of the few MCU movies of that era too that you don't have to really know anything else about the MCU to understand this movie. And it's just so well done. Perfect cast. I think Chris Evans is like the best version of Captain America we could get, and yeah, so that one's number 3. Number 4 is the ultimate Batman movie, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, which is hands down, in my opinion, the best Batman movie ever made. It's so well done. It's an animated movie which features the cast of Kevin Conroy as Batman, Mark Hamill as the Joker, Dana Delaney, et cetera, et cetera. It's just an excellent movie. So yeah, so that's number 4. And I had a different one. I had Empire Strikes Back for number 5, but I'm gonna pull one from my honorable mention since it's already been mentioned, and I'm gonna go with The Fugitive. With Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. This is just an absolute amazing adaptation of the TV show. They do enough to make it fresh and new, but retain just enough of what was in the TV show to kind of give it that tie to the show of the same kind of feel. And if you know anything about the behind the scenes, the fact that this movie turned out to be as good as it is amazing, because apparently they had very little script. Most of it was being made up as they went. Some of the better scenes happened just because we need to do something here and we don't know what to do. Well, what if we do this? And so the fact that the movie turned out to be as good as it is just a testament to the people that worked on it. And so those are my 5.
Like, it's a heck of a list, dude. My gosh, it's a heck of a list.
I was trying to go with some I didn't think everybody would do too. So
well, you sort of copied off my paper a little bit, but that's all right. That's why we have audibles in professional sports. When things don't go as planned, you call an audible and go to plan B, which is what I'm going to do a little bit later on.
That's why we have an honorable mentions list under.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna call an audible later and make a different pick for one of those. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're not going to say which one. So with that being said, Bobby, I'm going to say my thoughts on this because your list really stood out. I mean, everyone's list is a standout. Don't get me wrong, but Bobby, let me tell you this, and I agree with a lot of the things you said. Captain America: Winter Soldier, it's the best MCU solo movie of all time. There is an argument to be made; it could be the best MCU of all time. Period. I mean, that's up for everybody else, but great film, love it. Has a lot of different themes explored, and the speech that Steve Rogers gives on the microphone to everybody there at Shield, as it were, was really, really well done. Even though Falcon looks at him and says, "Did you rehearse that first, or did you just come up with that off the top of your head?" It's brilliant. Steve Rogers is a great motivational speaker. He should do more TED Talks in the future. Steve Rogers, if you're watching this, do us a favor. When you mentioned Mask of the Phantasm. That movie just turned a very healthy-looking big 3-0 last year. We did a 30th anniversary watch-along. You can go back and watch that on our channel. Once you're done watching this, known as Perfect Movies Episode 2. Shameless plug, Bobby. That movie is, without a doubt, one of the better, more underrated comic book movies that's ever made in the history of mankind. Performances from everybody, including Dana Delaney, Kevin Conroy, rest in peace, good sir. Mark Hamill, stellar. All stellar.
I saw it in the theater for the first time last year.
Oh, yeah.
I missed it the first time around, and it was even better seeing it that way than I had, just watching it on TV as I had for years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great film. Great film. Absolutely. And then you mentioned, Casablanca. What the heck? One of the greatest of all time. Goes without saying. We did an anniversary watch along for that as well on our YouTube channel. Why? Because it's one of the GOATs. Okay. There's a reason it made the AFI top 100 list or whatever it is. Go back and look up the list. It may still be there. I'm not sure. But great list. I respect it. Good stuff there. Some of these films that have been listed from other panelists, I got to go back and revisit at some point. The Fugitive. My gosh, I did a rewatch of that not too long ago, and I got to tell you, I don't have any flaws with that movie at all. The Fugitive, Ford, Tommy Lee Jones got an Oscar for that, which, hey, who'd have thunk, right? And the movie, just from beginning to end, it hooks you in from the get-go, and you're with this to the very end. It's so, so good. Stop that, man! It's just, oh, God, come on, Bobby, come on.
Yeah,
good
there
stuff.
is an excellent behind the scenes of the making of it that's on YouTube that you can find. It's like 30-40 minutes long. It's riveting. All of the things that, kind of like Jaws, it works in spite of the problems.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Absolutely good point. So appreciate you sharing that with us. By the way, some people are giving you some mad props here. First of all, before we get to that comment, one comment, Philip Miller says, thank you. Academy Awards are not always right. Yeah, it's true. They get things wrong 99% of the time. All-Star Fandom says, Bobby Nash, huge fan of yours. I went to your panel at Dragon Con about what comic adaptations to TV and movies get right and what they get wrong. That was a great time.
We had fun. That was a fun panel.
And then All-Star Phantom, aka Dion. What's up, Dion? Good to see you, my man. He says Winter Soldier is perfect. I can watch it anytime. Anytime. He also says, I'm liking this list, Bobby. I'm liking it. I'm digging it. David Mamina says, good choices. Good choices. And Philip Miller says, good list, Bobby. I have to see Casablanca. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
I do not think you will be disappointed.
No. It's, what is it, an hour 38, hour 42
Yeah,
minutes?
it's less than 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, it's an hour 42 minutes of greatness, Philip Miller.
And also, if you're a fan of some of the other movies that are going to get mentioned on this list, I'm sure, you'll start to see where certainly guys like Spielberg and Lucas pull a lot from Casablanca, especially for Indiana Jones movies. You'll recognize a lot of the things that influenced these guys in their movies.
You talking about maybe some of the costume
well, and just the way it's shot and the way it looks, and
maybe some trench coats show up in a little indie film called Last Crusade, and fedoras have been around for many decades, and they still are, by the way. They still are.
But if you, when you watch it, Rick's looks a little bit like a certain cantina. It's just so good.
I agree with you. You should definitely watch it. So, what about you, Dave Mattingly? Any thoughts on Bobby Nash's list as we go on here?
You can tell that Jaws was a very good movie because it had an actual effect in real life on the amount of people who went swimming in the oceans and the tourism dropped off. It had a serious effect on local economies. It was that good. Winter Soldier had another kind of actual effect on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s TV show, crossed over, which had never been done before. A TV show continuity had never changed based on a movie that had come out that weekend before.
And the TV show got better as a result of the change.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my personal favorite of the standalone intro type of the MCU's is Shang-Chi. But Winter Soldier is still extremely good. Mask of Phantasm is indeed a fantastic Batman movie, possibly the best movie. Some other animated Batman movies that I really like are when he meets Ninja Turtles, Scooby-Doo, And the Adam West animated Caped Crusaders Return is extremely good. And Fugitive, thanks. I look forward to checking out that making of, because that was a fascinating movie.
Yeah, I was stunned by the stuff revealed in the making of. It was just was
great choices all around.
Yeah, Bobby knows how to pick them, doesn't he? I mean, he's been around for a couple of decades, so I mean, just listen, Bobby. Not to call you out or anything, but you've seen some stuff. You've seen some things.
And I have no life, so I watch lots of movies to keep myself entertained.
What you talk about, Willis? Of course you have a life. You're an award-winning writer. Get out of here. Come on, man. You're kicking tail and taking names. But anyway, listen. I'm just giving you some mad props. There. What about you, Sir Austin? Any thoughts on this one?
I got some thoughts on one. I'll save it for the end. No, I'll start with Casablanca. Yeah, I actually rewatched this very, very recently. We did a Wheel of Movies episode over on the Movie Hero Network, which you can go check out on the Movie Hero Network. It's because it's one of our community members, our podcast members' favorite movies. Yeah, it holds up incredibly well. I absolutely think the relationship between Humphrey Bogart and Claude Rains is one of the best sort of buddy, interesting relationships ever put on film. I really love all that stuff. The dialogue held up. Yeah, the story is pretty fast paced, especially for the time it was made. And yeah, it just really, really works. So I'm glad I rewatched it, and I'm going to be going back to it a lot. Jaws is a top 10 movie of all time for me, so I don't have to say a whole lot. It just is. And it's one of the ones I would have picked had somebody not already picked it. So that's fine. So I'll keep that short. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, Winter Soldier is pretty great. Definitely like a top 5 MCU for me. Still works very well, and one I go back to a lot. I'll jump to The Fugitive, which I also think is fantastic, and then is incredibly. It's almost underrated for the direction that Andrew Davis does. I think he's an underrated director in general. And one of Harrison Ford's better performances.
Andrew Davis made Steven Seagal watchable.
Yeah, he made a good Steven Seagal movie with Under Siege. Yeah, which is that's a feat in itself if you can make a damn good Steven Seagal movie.
I still need to see that, by the way.
I mean, it's Steven Seagal's Die Hard movie, but it works and it's really good. So yeah, if you can do that, props to you. Send your hate mail to Austin Pez Howell on Facebook. I think Batman Mask of the Phantasm is incredibly overrated and quite a dull movie. I've tried to revisit this thing multiple times. I think it looks cheap. I think it's kind of cheaply made. I think it has a very Scooby-Doo like plot thread through the thing with the Phantasm. I think the Phantasm character is incredibly dull and boring. I don't know why you didn't just make Mark Hamill's Joker the main character. He has barely any screen time, and he's way more interesting every time he pops up. There's plot threads and plot holes, continuity errors when you compare it to the Batman animated series. I think there's themes in that movie that the animated series does better. A lot of the stuff about what his life would have been like how he's not Batman. There's an episode called Purchase to Dream that does that concept better in 20 minutes than the whole movie does. So I think there's episodes of the TV show that do it way, way better. So boo me, send me your hate mail. Mask of the Phantasm is not the masterpiece everybody makes it out to be, and I said what I said, and I stand to it.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I got something caught over there. So first of all, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. But man, after hearing that, I mean, this is like one of those situations where it goes down something like this.
Calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
I mean, that was some serious.
The beauty of Batman, though, there's so many to choose from.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot to choose from, and I think there's a lot better to choose from than Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Well, maybe there's a movie that turns a certain age later this year that maybe top that we'll be talking about later. So the frack knows, right? Oh my gosh. Talk about hot takes times 1,000 on this broadcast. For those of you wondering what the Cannon Father is going on, this is, my gosh, this is Perfect Movies Episode 2, where we have a roundtable of panelists sharing 5 movies that they consider to be perfect.
Hey, I said what I said, and I stick to it. So you know what? let it not be known that I don't have balls, and I say what I say. So
okay.
you know what? Bring it.
It's okay. They're sharing with us the reasons they chose those 5
Yeah.
movies. If you who are watching or listening to this have 5 movies that you believe to be perfect or near perfect in your respect, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. And if you're joining us live or on the replay, welcome, and we thank you for being with us. By the way, All-Star Phantom says Batman and TMNT was something I didn't know that I needed until it dropped, and it blew my mind. It was so good for its time. And then All-Star Phantom says, I'm not here for Batman Mask of the Phantasm slander. Shame, good sir. Shame on you. So, yeah, hot takes galore. Chad, save us from this oblivion. And do you have any thoughts on the list that was just mentioned by Bobby?
I enjoy your list a lot. I disagree with Austin a lot with Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Come on, this would be a boring show if everybody agreed on everything.
No, and I 100% am not disagreeing with you on that.
Yeah.
That's what makes it really funny that you said it. Jaws. I mean, I can't say anything about it. It's a great movie. I agree wholeheartedly. It's great. The thing is, though, is that the Batman movie, I do want to mention that Hush is probably the worst out of all of them. That movie is absolute garbage. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I haven't seen that movie in forever. Wait, no, you said The Fugitive. Sorry, I'm going based off your list that you had, and you pull the
Too many Harrison Ford movies.
Yeah, too many. Come on.
I expected Raiders to hit somebody else's list, so
Yeah. No spoilers. No spoilers. But talk about The Fugitive.
Because Captain America. Actually, I never saw The Fugitive.
Oh,
you got homework to do after this show, son.
I know. Captain America: Winter Soldier, though, that actually made my list originally, and then I swapped it out for something else. It's perfect all around. Not even just for a comic book movie, but also just like a film in general. I love it. I also like the fact that yes, they did the TV spinoff, and they changed a bunch of stuff as the TV show went because they just forgot everything that happened in the MCU. So it caused a huge disaster as well for the MCU too. And that was really cool. But on that, I think your list is great. Hush is still the worst movie ever, though.
My God. Oh, Lord. Did we? Okay. I believe it's Case. Do you have anything or do you offer this already? I can't remember. I'm so confused.
No, I'm yet to give my thoughts.
Go ahead. What are your thoughts before we move to the next person?
We will start a trend here, which is called Case Has Not Seen Movies. Because every single time that a person mentions a movie that was before a certain time, because I think I'm the youngest panelist here, I have not seen it. So, Casablanca, sorry, have not seen it. Jaws, I haven't seen it in ages. I don't remember any of it, so there's that. And I also haven't seen The Fugitive.
I haven't seen Casablanca either, so...
No, I know, but, you know, the 3 out of the 5 that he mentioned, I feel like that's a lot, but, you know, I suppose I'm just young, and I'm yet to get to them. Like, I think they probably all are on my to-watch list, along with 60
Casablanca,
other movies.
available now on 4K.
Yeah. You know what the issue is with whenever I hear a movie brought up, like a person says it's great and I haven't seen it. Yeah, I have another 60 to 70 movies on my watch list, and I don't have the time to watch all of them instantly. I'll get to them eventually, you know.
And they keep making new ones.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies to keep up with.
Yeah, it's also, I like when somebody's surprised and they say, oh my God, you haven't seen this movie? And like, bro, there's like 40 million movies. Yes, this movie is good, but like, I don't have time to sit and watch them all.
But about the 2 that I have seen, yes, Batman Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie. I adore it to pieces. And I am very sad that I don't have this on Blu-ray to show off, because the other one that I do have on Blu-ray is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is not even in my top 5 MCU movies. I just think it's really good because Captain America: The First Avenger is and it was Captain America's Boy Scout, whatever, don't give a shit. And then you get to Captain America: The Winter Soldier, it's like, Captain America is cool. Wow, what a concept. I had no idea he could be this awesome. So it made Captain America so much cooler than he was initially. Because, look, my favorite standalone is Iron Man, because I'm a big Iron Man fan. I really like that character. But this was the movie that really convinced me, oh, hey, Captain America is also really cool. So, There you go. I don't think it's necessarily perfect. I definitely don't think it's the best MCU or the best solo, but it is a really damn good movie, and there's a reason I have it on. I have it on Blu-ray. So there's that.
Gotcha. And I believe we went to Dave. You offered your comments on this, right, for Bobby's list, or did I miss you?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Because one other note is that Captain America, when he holds the helicopter, oh man, that just blew me away.
Yeah,
that's Civil War.
Oh, that's actually Civil War.
Yeah.
That's Civil War. That's on Winter Soldier.
Sorry.
Keith, I'm glad
Wrong
that
movie.
you said that Captain America: First Avenger is a mad movie, because I also agree to that.
Yeah, because it's not. It's like if you go back to Phase 1, it's like the bottom of my list. Like
I agree wholeheartedly.
I understand that some people like it because that is the type of character that they expected from the comics or something.
does
But
have
as someone,
it
as
does
someone
have
who hasn't read the
Yeah.
comics, I just didn't care much about it.
Yeah,
The comics for so long tended to write Captain America as if he was your grandfather.
Yeah.
He talked to you like it was everything was, oh son,
Just say it. A lot of times in the comics, he's a dork.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what. But he's a likable dork.
No, that's
But,
what.
like,
I'm not saying it's bad. That's the way he was
Well,
written.
he's
It's
a
just-
Boy
he's
Scout,
an
and you
out-of-time
can't really
dork.
relate to somebody who's a Boy Scout 24/7.
I
He's
do
your
like the
Superman.
moment. I do like the moment that Cap walks into.
What is it?
I don't know where exactly, and he's like, "Son, just don't."
Oh, it's when they go into the helicarrier to go
That's
in the
in
Avengers.
Yeah.
It's like, son, this is like restricted access. He says, son, just don't.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
also. I think it was the Avengers where he's like, I understood that reference.
Oh, dude, yeah,
Like,
everyone uses that phrase
Yeah.
now. Everybody uses that because of him.
Yeah.
But I love too that with this movie they have acknowledged the passage of time, and he is acclimating himself.
He's a fish out of water.
And
Yeah.
Big
It's a really interesting fish out of water story too.
Yeah.
Like when you follow him. Also, I disagree that Cap might have the best MCU trilogy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is better, but
Yeah, All Star Fandom goes on to
so-
say Cap might have the best MCU
I
trilogy.
think-
There's an argument to be made for that potentially. I
Sure.
don't know.
Civil War is the biggest waste of time ever.
What?
Oh, I do
wouldn't
not.
say
I
that.
don't like Civil War at all.
Whoa.
It's so like, okay, look, I read the comic and I hate comparing it to the comic, but it's just like the comic is just so eventful. Like you just have all these characters just really angry at each other just to be angry. Like you have to pick a side, and then but the movie's just like there's 7 of us, and we're all angry at a man a terrorist man. Like it's just it's not that great.
And then I created Ultron. My fault. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a hot take if I ever heard one. Geez, we've barely scratched the surface of this show, by the way. First of all, real quick, because I do want to move on to the next panelist. Civil War, I don't think is a bad movie at all. I think it gets better with each rewatch, at least in my opinion. Is it as good as the graphic novel? Obviously not, because you have an 800-page novel that you can't make into a 2.5-hour movie. That's just not humanly possible. But what they had to work with, and the fact that they introduced not one, but two new characters in that movie, and they do it successfully with Black Panther, the late, great Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace, good sir.
Sure.
And also Spider-Man, who was owned by Sony.
The best iteration of an on-screen Spider-Man.
That's
you
true.
know, and when he I mean, honestly, just go back and watch the 2.5-minute trailer for Civil War. When he shows up out of nowhere at the Underoos, takes a shield, lands on the tarmac there, and he says, "Hello, everyone." I'm like, "Whoa!"
And his eyes move.
Massive here.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
this is
I agree.
huge. Like, we've never seen this in a comic book movie ever.
That's true.
So-
No, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's just I just didn't care about it.
No, well, you're wrong, and you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Oh, I'm busy lifting drinks.
I'm not far off from Chad, but we'll save that for another
Really?
discussion.
You
Yeah.
don't like Civil War either?
It's not that I don't like it. I think it's decent. I just think it's another one where I think everybody saw the airport scene and proclaimed it as the greatest movie of all time, and didn't stop to think about how incredibly plot convenient that movie is throughout the whole thing. The whole thing hinges on a random security camera in the middle of nowhere that happened to catch the Winter Soldier murdering his parents on a random stretch of dirt road. And that's the catalyst of like, we can't think of anything better, so we'll just throw that out there. And the whole thing is like a
totally-
rom-com where nobody can just sit down and talk their problems out.
Yes, exactly. That
That
entire movie is everybody just had a cup of coffee and just chilled and talked to each other.
sat down
It's
and
fine.
talked their problems out. It'd be fine.
Well, go ahead, Bobby. What were you going to say?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and the random convenience of Tony meeting the woman in the hallway in some place he was not supposed to be.
Right.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of those conveniences.
A lot of plot
wasn't that was it Alfred Woodard?
Alfred Woodard,
yeah.
Okay, it was. Yeah, that showed the picture of her son.
Yeah.
So my biggest problem with Civil War is that nobody dies. Nobody. I'm like,
That is
dude,
true.
it's a Civil War movie. Like, people have to die in
No,
this
and
movie.
even the airport fight feels like a scrimmage fight.
Well,
Yes.
I mean,
we're gonna
feels
have a training simulation like scrimmage fight, so
Yeah, it's
nobody's
like-
really gonna get hurt.
basically it's like
except
the
for
it's like
accidentally.
the holodeck on the Enterprise, but
Yeah,
still,
it feels like it
Yeah.
feels like an X-Men Danger Room.
well,
Yeah, right.
listen,
Fight.
an
It's what it
argument can be
feels
made
like.
for that, but at the same time, like, no one dies in Civil War. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you call it Civil War, and yet nobody,
The-
like, Rhodey barely gets injured. He's limping at the end of the movie. Big deal.
And he's fine later.
Back, man.
He gets paralyzed for life, mind you.
Well, not really. I mean, he's still
He's
roaming
fine
around
later.
somewhere.
Is he really? If he can just still walk around?
The only
Well,
reason
he
he's
has
walking
he has
is
to
because he
wear
has
an-
Iron Man tech helping
Yeah.
him.
I know.
Whatever. He doesn't die.
So-
People
That
should
is
have
true.
died in the movie. Honestly. Anyway.
And you
enough
also
about
get a
that.
cool suit with a machine gun. Shut up. You could walk just fine now with
Probably.
a gun.
Philip Miller goes on to say, shoot, you guys made some great choices here. Okay, Batman Returns, wow, that was psychological. And Batman by MK, I guess what is MK? I don't know what that means.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, thank you. It was just so human as opposed to some kind of serious superhero. Okay, fair enough, Philip Miller, fair enough. And then Dutch Star Wars guy, I don't know who he is, but he says, I don't care, he killed my mom. My heart breaks. Wow.
Look, you know what the thing is? Like, everyone always mentions the airport scene. I think the
You know what's
scene
the
at
best
end
scene of the movie? The scene at the end is the better fight. It's the better fight.
Yes,
More
it
emotional.
is.
Because it's darker,
That's
it's
just it.
brutal, and it's
Like,
more serious.
More emotional.
And it's more
Yes.
personal.
Yes. It's a better fight.
Yeah, but the movie also, the reason the Cap versus Iron Man war was more impactful in the comic was because they had years to build that friendship up.
Many
The
years.
MCU didn't. They were not that close in the MCU.
Not really.
Because nothing to that point we seen them to where they were best buds. They were
Right.
colleagues at best. So the betrayal, the reaction to it does not. I don't feel like they earned it.
Things were
I
like
agree.
fast tracked and they were rushed. So.
Yeah, I like in the comic, the whole point was like children died. Like that, it was like way more like intense and heartbreaking and darker. And then they're just like, oh, a building blew up in another country.
What was it again? Sokovia. Thank
yeah,
you. Sokovia.
and I'm
That's
like,
what I was looking for.
And yeah, that's sad. But I was like, I just felt like the comic was more personal and more like because he had Nitro and Speedball, and he had that really.
Look at us talking about Civil War, and it wasn't even on anybody's.
Yeah,
list.
sorry.
I'll
Let's
tell you
let's
what.
move on.
Yeah,
Let's
I'll tell
move
you
on.
what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
anyway, sorry.
You're getting too analytical here, and I don't have that kind of time. Plus, Case is giving us studio notes apparently, and I don't know why, because I'm the producer, not him. But anyway, Chad, give us a break here. Name 5 movies you consider to be perfect and why. And I'm sure they're going to light up the chat room as we go into it. And also,
Oh, I know they will, and that's why
Case,
I chose one of
Case
them.
and Austin have some choice words for your list. So we'll get to that a little bit later on in this broadcast. But Chad, tell the person who's watching or listening to this at home what 5 movies you consider to be perfect and why.
Oh God. Okay, so one of them I did choose for this exact particular reason, and you guys definitely got me on it. So the movies that I chose, especially when it comes to comedies, I love Airplane. I think Leslie Nielsen is amazing. It has great witty humor that still stands up today. I can watch that movie again and again and still laugh my butt off. I absolutely adore that movie. Also, Ant-Man is my other choice for the MCU. Winter Soldier was going to be it, but Ant-Man became my one because as a tight story, it's very experimental. The visuals are just kind of really nice to look at. I love the Thomas the Tank Engine scene, and I know that was a scene in the trailer and everything, but it was great. It just felt like I was reading a comic book, and as a comic book fan, I got to put it on my list. Lilo and Stitch is my other one, and I think that's the reason why is because the more I watch that, the more I resonate with both characters. Lilo is a great weird child, and she just is okay with being strange and weird. And I'm like, yeah, I'm strange and weird. I understand you. And then you look at Nani, who she's trying to raise Lilo as a sister and a mother at the same time. So I just really felt like it really resonated with me just as time goes on. Plus, it's also really well animated, and I love Stitch. If I could be a Disney character, I would fuck some shit up with Stitch. And then my other one, I know everybody is gonna boo me for this, but I think Coyote Ugly is the perfect bad movie to start when it comes to talking about bad movies. I think that script has way too much energy. It's taken way too seriously with what they were provided with. Everybody in that movie is having a good time, even though the script is so shallow to work with. And I absolutely love watching it for that particular reason. Plus, the backstory for that movie is absolutely strange. It's not even based on somebody being inspired by going to a bar. No, this person read a newspaper article about a bartender working in a bar. And Kevin Smith also goes uncredited with writing that movie, doing a rewrite of that movie, and Carrie Fisher. So the whole movie is absolutely bonkers to sit and just watch it unfold. It also meets every single plot point. It's a musical romance comedy, and it does none of that well. But my God, when somebody starts talking about bad movies, Coyote Ugly is a great one to start with. Also, Tyra Banks is really hot, so I digress. And then my all-time, this is also my all-time favorite movie, is Lord of the Rings, the whole trilogy, but specifically The Fellowship. I think that movie is just a very great adventure flick that you can turn on in the background, just sit down and watch again and again, or nice background noise. I can pick up and watch it, and it looks absolutely beautiful, and the acting is incredible. Plus, Peter Jackson, I mean, bro, he set that movie up. So those are my top 5. I know they weren't as in depth, but we'd be here all day. So
You're right. We certainly would be here all day. So my 2 cents on this real quick. Fellowship of the Ring is my favorite of the trilogy. It's a great fantasy adventure movie. Sets everything up, puts you in this world, puts you in Middle-earth, stands for the brink of destruction. Like that whole round table scene is just the council scene, I guess is what it's called, is fantastic. Sean Bean is a boss, but when is he not? Seriously.
Because he dies. I mean,
he dies in almost every movie he's ever been in. The only time he doesn't die is National Treasure. He gets arrested at the end. But anyway, which is a great.
But then he gets shanked in prison. That's good.
Hey, Bobby, he doesn't. We don't know if he got shanked in prison. But anyway, real quick. So, Fellowship of the Ring is my favorite of that trilogy. Coyote Ugly gave America, I should say, Piper Perabo.
That is true.
Thank you, Coyote Ugly, for giving us one of the greatest gifts in American history, known as Piper Perabo. Great woman in real life, as well as professionally. If you haven't seen the TV series she did, Covert Affairs, you need to sit your butt down and watch all 4 or 5 seasons of Covert Affairs, because she leads that thing, #like a boss. And it's one of the better TV shows of the 21st century, and it's criminally underrated. # those are the facts of this case, and they are undisputed.
Also,
so that's, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, real quick, fun fact. I also really like bad movies, and that's why it made that list too. So
you also get Bridget Moynihan from Blue Bloods in that, so that's which isn't. And Maria Bello. Maria Bello is a very talented actress. She's been doing it for years. So those are my reactions to your list. Dave Mattingly, you've been around the block for a number of decades. What do you think about these movies chosen by Chad? Any thoughts?
It's hard to say anything bad about Airplane. Oh my goodness, you watch that.
Love Airplane.
Over and over, you pick out new jokes, you see new funny references in the background. It is indeed perfect.
It's so quotable.
Oh, yes.
I love every time when somebody asks me for coffee. I'm like, I like my. Do you want cream in your coffee? I'm like, I like my coffee. Like I like my men. Strong and black. It's just a great thing to talk about.
Johnny is always my favorite. I can make a hat, I can make a brooch, I can make a pterodactyl. Oh my gosh. Ant-Man is tons of fun.
Love Ant-Man.
Lilo and Stitch is one of the definitely the top tier of the oddball Disney movies animation. I would say that the Emperor's New Groove has kind of the same vibe, and would be my favorite of them. But Lilo and Stitch is also very good. Fellowship is my favorite of the trilogy, like several others. And as Ryan mentioned, I'm newlywed, been married 10 days. My late wife, we were married 32 years, and Coyote was her favorite movie. Favorite modern movie, not counting Wizard of Oz and Sound of Music, but she just totally loved Coyote. I could never really figure out why.
Which
I watched
movie?
it with her, but I know that she just had a blast with it. And I always love John Goodman. Got to give him that.
That's another thing. Like I said, we would be here all day. But Coyote Ugly, every time when I bring it up too, I never hear anybody say they hate that movie, even though it's absolutely terrible to sit through. It's also just
guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's a really good starting point to talk about like bad movies. So that's why I put it on my list. So, anyway,
good stuff.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks for sharing that with us, Dave. Appreciate that. And for those of you just joining us, don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If you have any 5 movies that you think are perfect or near perfect, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. We're more than happy to take those as they come in respectively. Let's see here. All-Star Phantom says, I disagree with all of Chad's lists until he says something great about Civil War. Ha ha ha. And then, oh boy. David Mamina says, replace Coyote Ugly with Christmas Vacation. Ha ha. Just saying. He's just saying. And then he says, I totally agree with you on Airplane, the movie Airplane specifically. So there you go. You're getting some love for that movie in the chat.
That's good.
With that being said, though, Case, I know you got something to say. So say it.
Okay. Well, first of all, Airplane.
Yeah.
Phenomenal comedy. And the thing is, as I said, like, I've watched a lot of these classic movies years later, so I don't have any nostalgia goggles towards these movies, and still I laugh my ass off with Airplane. It's so funny.
Yes.
Every single time I watch it, I laugh so hard, and there are a couple of really stupid jokes, but I laugh so hard at them.
Every time.
Seriously. Well, I mean, we have a map of Middle Earth over there, and I have the box set over here.
Yeah,
So,
I have that too. I should have brought that with me.
I mean, yeah, Lord of the Rings is the best movie trilogy. There are 3 of the best movies ever made. All 3 are perfect. My favorite is Return of the King because how epic it is and how it concludes everything. But Fellowship is great. Two Towers is great. Just everything about that trilogy works. And even though, there are plenty of people who don't like The Hobbit, and I have my issues with The Hobbit trilogy, I enjoyed that as well, and I will watch it a lot more than normal people would. I think.
Yeah, I like the first Hobbit. So
I like the second one a lot.
So.
But then you have 3 movies that, when you mentioned these, I was like, what? Okay. These are movies I suppose you can... Okay, your explanation for Coyote Ugly, I can now understand. I have never seen the movie, but when I saw 5.7 on IMDb, I was just like, is this guy high? I had no idea.
No, here's okay. I never think that a perfect movie needs to be like.
I understand. I understand it now with your explanation.
Yeah.
So, and movies are all subjective. Also interesting that you went with the 19th best MCU movie. I mean, I like Ant-Man. It's just, it's completely in the middle of the MCU movies. I like it. It's fine.
The 19th best movie? The 19th best?
Yeah, the 19th. It's still in the top 20.
Out of
like what?
35 I think.
Movies
it is officially in the lower half of, but you can go with that. And yeah, Lilo and Stitch. I mean, it's also definitely not in my top 20 Disney movies, but I'm glad you enjoy it. Okay.
Ohana
I do.
means family.
I get it. Look, yeah.
That's the only thing I got from that movie. Lilo and Stitch is fine, but the movie's not even good until the last 5 minutes of the movie. Like the first 2/3 of it are just him making a mess of life.
And by the way, this is someone who saw Lilo and Stitch in the theater back in the day in 2002. So
me too.
I should have all the nostalgia going for it, but I don't.
No, it's okay.
No.
Yeah. I saw it on Disney Plus a few months ago, and I'm like, okay, I finally saw this. I can cross off my to-do list, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, the last 5 minutes were the best part of this whole movie.
I do want to say that Monty Python and the Holy Grail is in my honorable mentions. It was a toss-up between the two. Obviously, clearly, because of my background. So
Yeah, you're kind of pulling a 180 on us with that one there, but hey, we'll let it slide. Austin316 says, what do you got to say about Chad's list? And make it
so, yeah, no, two I could understand and agree with. I think Airplane, has more jokes per minute than damn near any movie ever made, especially how much they cram into 88 minutes. I would argue that Leslie Nielsen gives one of the great comedic performances of all time in that film. Spot on timing, spot on tone, incredible. So no, Airplane's awesome. I'm not like a big Lord of the Rings guy, like as far as like a Lord of the Rings geek. But I've never disparaged the movies. I think the movies are excellent. I think they're very, very well done. I just don't watch them like over and over again like other people do. I'm just not that type of geek. It's like with Harry Potter. It's like they're good movies. I'm not a Harry Potter guy. I'm not a Lord of the Rings guy. But I mean, I own the extended trilogy Blu-ray set. Like they're great. Like they're good movies. Yeah. So I if somebody put that on a list, I would totally get it. So cool. Lilo and Stitch, I just haven't seen in like 20 years. I remember thinking it was fun, but I haven't seen it in forever. Ant-Man's a perfect movie compared to Quantumania. I'll say that. So
well.
you put them up against each other. I'll say Ant-Man's pretty damn perfect.
Yeah,
I heard Quantumania was a mess anyway.
And compared to most of the last like 10 MCU movies, and then Coyote,
I like the second one too. So
I would argue I love bad movies as well. Chad, I'm one of those guys who there was a movie that came out last year called Love Again. It was a really bad romantic movie.
Really?
I saw that it had like 7% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I ran to the theater to watch it. Like I will, like I will, like I see that shit, and like I'm like I gotta see what this is and like what it's all about. I love bad movies. I watch a lot of bad movies. I'm the go-to guy for like a worst movie list or whatever bad movie podcast, things like that. I watch a ton of bad movies.
Yeah.
I would argue the stuff like The Room or Troll 2 are like the perfect bad movies because of how sincerely made they are.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Maybe we should do a video on this channel called our favorite bad movies.
Yes,
well, I could argue several perfect bad movies and how sincerely they're made and how sincerely they fail at every aspect of filmmaking that they try to do. You know what I mean?
I do agree with that
those
too.
Ones that I love. So I get where you're coming from. To me, it's just like Coyote is not one of my go-to for anything. Like, it's just, it's like
nobody goes to it for anything.
I don't go to it for anything. Like the soundtrack, maybe. Oh, okay.
That's what I think.
Sure, but if I don't even go to it for like sex appeal because it's PG-13. That's how risque it is. But like, what are we doing here?
That's what makes
scenes that get a bit risque towards the second half.
That's what makes Coyote Ugly so bizarre. Is that what's it for?
I will agree. It's a bizarre. It's a bizarre, piece of its time of like 2000s filmmaking. I'll say that. So, I mean, I could definitely do like a favorite bad movies thing.
I could do that too.
I could do like my go-to ones that I could just watch over and over again that I think are perfectly bad, that are amazing.
Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh, Silent Night Part 2. No, Part 2.
Part 2,
son.
Part 2. Yes.
No, that's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's fantastic with one of the greatest performances in Eric Freeman ever. I have hey, listen, I'm just saying I might have a Garbage Day T-shirt. That's all I'm saying.
So, I'm glad we can bond over bad.
So we
movies.
can bond over bad movies. Yeah, if I see something like that, if I see that Gotti has a 0%, I run to the theater and find one to go watch it. Like I have to see what this is. Like that's
why?
Okay, I just wonder, have you seen Ballistic X versus Sever?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I saw it with my dad opening weekend, and we were
what is it?
Ballistic X versus Sever from 2002.
Ballistic is the only movie in the history of Rotten Tomatoes to have both a 0% critics and 0% audience score.
Oh,
yes.
Really?
Yeah.
No one likes that movie.
I saw that movie opening weekend with my dad. We were astonished at how bad it was. It's a great bad movie.
It's a great bad movie.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
you get Lucy Liu at her peak. You get Antonio
it fails
Banderas
in everything it tries to do. Anyways, but that's the whole again.
By the way, someone, what was it? David Mamina said earlier, what was it? Agree with you with Airplane. Dutch Star Wars. Tune in next week when we list our favorite bad movies.
That'd be awesome.
I could do that. I'd do it.
My favorite bad movie is The Return of Captain Invincible, a superhero musical comedy, according to Dave Mattingly, whoever that person is.
That's one of the things with Coyote Ugly too, is that it's not a musical, it's not even a comedy, and it's hardly a romance. Like it doesn't.
It doesn't commit to any lane at all. Let's dabble in this, dabble in that.
By the way, it's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, so there you go.
Yeah, the guy who did Kangaroo. Wait, no, it's directed by the guy who did Kangaroo
Jack's
Jack.
a great bad movie. I saw that in theaters.
Beautiful bad movie. It's totally the biggest misleading trailer ever in a fucking.
I think for those of you wondering what the cannon fodder is going on, right now we're talking about perfect movies. Even though some people are talking about their favorite bad films, maybe we'll do a video called our favorite bad movies here.
Best bad movie, Chad, of 2023. Hypnotic, the Robert Rodriguez Ben Catholic
If
movie.
if you want us to
Phenomenal
do
bad
that-
movie.
if you want
Phenomenal
us-
bad movie.
If you want us to do a
a
favorite bad movie,
spectacular bad movie, Chad, you have to watch it immediately.
let
It's
let
great.
us know in the chat. But for those of you just joining us, this is Perfect Movies. We're describing 5 movies we consider to be perfect and why. Let us know your favorites in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If this is your first time here, if you're watching this live and or on the replay, thank you for enjoying this insanity. So, Bobby Nash, film at 11. What are your thoughts on Chad's list?
You know, I got to give you a lot of props for Airplane. And
Yeah.
as I am older too, I was there. You know, when those were new, we kind of had this. We had this. Well, it was kind of this era of these all-star cast type of comedies. There was quite a run of those for a time, and it was a bigger. Like some of these actors have not retained that mythical status that they had at the time. But like the fact that Barbara Billingsley is in there, you know, talking jive, and Leslie Nielsen.
Beaver's mom. That's the
Cut me some
Beaver's
slack,
mom.
Chad.
Leslie Nielsen was not really considered a comedic actor.
Nope.
Yep.
You know, so this like changed the course of Leslie Nielsen's life.
Naked Gun, anybody?
You know,
Yep.
you know, or guys like
Police Academy.
I forget his name. The guy that played
Or-
Jim Phelps. You know, these were not
Peter
these were
Graves.
not comedians.
Peter Graves
Peter Graves. Thank you.
from Mission
These were not.
Impossible.
Yeah, these were not people that did comedy, and so it turns out they were so good at it, and it's so irreverent. And I didn't see it in the theater because I was a bit too young, but it was a staple of like Saturday afternoon matinees. You know, well, I was too young to go to the theater and see it.
Yeah.
But
No,
it
I
was
got
it was a staple.
Is it R-rated?
I
No,
believe,
no, no. It's
yeah,
rated
or-
G.
is it?
Airplane, I think,
PG.
is rated
Really?
PG or
What?
G-rated.
Yeah.
There's
There's
a
This movie has
There's
tits in it and
tits
it's
in that
rated
movie.
G.
Yeah.
You know what? It was different times, Case. You could get around with titties in a PG movie.
You ever
back
seen
in
a
the day.
grown man naked?
Yeah.
Seriously, I love old PG and old G. I cannot believe
Joey,
it's
you like-
not a thing anymore.
Joey, you like gladiator movies?
You like yeah.
You ever hang around
One of the
outside
movies I
gymnasiums?
mentioned, one of the movies I mentioned, Inside Out, has a PG rating these days, and I'm just like, how?
I know.
Yeah,
I
is a
agree.
PG well, the
rating.
world, yeah, definitely, because that was the the PG-13 didn't even exist.
No, this was before the rating existed, respectively. That was instated by the MPAA later on in life. But my gosh, what a list! That's gonna.
Chad,
keep
you ever been
Yeah.
in a Turkish prison?
Have you ever seen
Please.
Have you ever seen watch
But it's
Gladiator?
yeah, but a very quotable movie, movie for today, even today, you know.
Yes.
And I'll go quick through the rest of them. Ant-Man, I enjoyed Ant-Man. Good movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's one of the better solo movies.
I don't remember much about Lilo and Stitch. I remember there was some Elvis music in it. I think that was
Yeah.
there was a bit with Elvis. Fellowship of the
Yeah.
Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I can't read the books. I've tried. I've
That's
tried
fair.
to read the novels and can't read the novels, but I love the movies. The movies are awesome. And I do think because they do get kind of dour and very dark as we go along. That first one, there's more of an adventure feel up until the end where it gets dark. But so yes, that Coyote Ugly, I agree, is a bad movie, but I have a soft spot for movies about people trying to make their dreams come true, to make their career happen, to make.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for those
Yeah.
type of movies, and so I enjoy bits of it for that. Yes, it is not a good movie.
Yes,
but I
Even
also
if it
agree.
is produced by Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah, but I also agree. This is kind of where I fell in love with Piper Perabo. You know,
Hello there.
you know, and Maria Bello. There were actors in it I knew. You know, so there was that, but it's not a great movie. But like I said,
No.
I have a soft spot.
Yeah.
For those
I
those
respect
type
that.
of
Yeah. The problem with Coyote Ugly, though, is it's just like, let's shit on this woman for asking a bunch of questions to try to make her dream happen. And let's be really mean to her.
And Jerry Bruckheimer produced it.
But you know what? But you know there is
Listen,
some truth to that, though.
Early
You know,
2000s, the early 2000s was a weird time for
It's
movies,
a
man.
very
I
weird time
remember
for
when
movies.
Save the Last Dance's premise was let's make Julia Stiles black so she can get into the Dance Academy.
Hey.
What?
Hey, Save the Last Dance is a good movie, man.
Yeah, it's great. A great commentary. Just be more black and you'll get into the Academy.
No.
That's what the commentary of that movie is. Go watch it. Go watch
Whatever,
it again.
Well,
dude.
Coyote
It's a good
Ugly
movie for what
is,
it is.
I can only perform when a man helps me.
Mhm.
Like, that's what
Whatever, Russ.
Coyote Ugly is about.
There's some
Whatever,
questionable
Russ.
morals in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Whatever. One comment. Philip Miller says, "Chad, Airplane's right up there for me with
It's
Spaceballs."
true.
So that's
I
what
love
Philip Miller was
Spaceballs.
saying earlier.
Mhm.
So there you go. Enough said. My gosh, boy, that was a hot take list if we ever heard one on national television.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's only going to get stranger as we go along, just to make everyone abundantly clear. Dave, gosh, I believe it. My gosh, this thing is going off the rails. Let's see, who have we not gone to yet? Dave Mattingly. I'm just curious. I don't think we've gone to you yet, so I'm going to give
You have
you.
not.
I'm going to give you the stage.
He's strategically saving me for last. I see what's happening here.
No. You may be up after this. I don't know what the frack we're going to do. But Dave Mattingly, congratulations on being newly married. Congratulations. That's number one. Number two, what 5 movies do you have on your list and why?
So you said it's only going to strangers we go along, and you immediately call on me. I approve
Sorry.
of this.
Well, you're the one with the Pee-wee's Playhouse background, so, you know.
First is Big Trouble in Little China. I've seen this movie so much more than any other movie. I've seen this probably 200 times at least. It's just a pure wacky fun. Kurt Russell is an action hero sidekick. He doesn't know he's a sidekick. He thinks he's the main guy and gets himself in trouble. Next, go back to the 50s to The Court Jester with Danny Kaye, an action musical comedy. Back into the future with The Fifth Element, Bruce Willis and Chris Tucker, who seem to believe they are in 2 different movies, the way they behave. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, as you might guess from my background here. It was Tim Burton's first movie, believe it or not, and Danny Elfman's first movie soundtrack. It launched so much. It's considered a perfect movie by a lot of people because it's somewhat formulaic. Paul Rubens looked through the how to write a script, and the script was 90 pages. Each act was 30 pages, and here are the beats we need to hit. And like page by page, they do it exactly how they should. It's funny, it's exciting, it's weird, it's scary. And if I ever do karaoke, it would be Tequila, based on Pee Wee's Herman. And my 5th one is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It took me by surprise how amazingly good it was. The animation, the style, introducing all the characters. My favorite of them is Spider-Man Noir. Just so odd, and Nicolas Cage was the perfect guy for it. So that is my list of the perfect movies: Big Trouble in China, Court Jester, Fifth Element, Pee-wee, and Spider-Man Spider-Verse.
Well, the good news is you had a multi-pass to get in here and to be a part of this show. So well done on that front. And Gary Oldman's looking dead into the camera right now and saying, "I'm not disappointed." Anyway, with that KFC accent that he's trying to pull off there, and for some people that was their introduction to Mila Jovovich as a wonderful, beautiful woman and a beautiful actress who can layeth the smacketh down on anyone's candy behind. So, Lilu, I see. Go Bandalas. Anyway, and Chris Tucker kind of steals the show in a lot of scenes. So, well done, Chris Tucker. That was when you were. That's when you were good. Not in every movie, but that one you rocked. Well, for the moment, anyway. So. Good stuff there. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Didn't see it until a few years later. Saw it on Blu-ray. Knocked me out of the park. That's a solid film. Didn't expect that movie to be as good as it was. I mean, it was so hyped. You know, when someone hypes up a movie for you before you see it, you're thinking, oh, if this thing isn't really good, then I'm really going to hate it. But it actually turned out to be really good. I was pleasantly surprised by how good Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was. I haven't seen the sequel yet. No spoilers. Don't do it to me.
I do want to say, though, the Miles Morales omnibus is out, and it's really good. I recommend reading up on Miles Morales. He's a great character. So,
respect. Visit your local comic shop. Support small businesses when you get a chance. Yeah, and Bobby Nash goes to one like every other day because he likes to buy a lot of books. So you're welcome, by the way, Bobby. Shameless plug for you and your strange little itty bitty little habits down there in Georgia. For that being said, Dave Mattingly, good list, my man. Chad, what do you think about Dave Mattingly's list of 5 movies? Have you seen any of them? Probably not, but if you have, what are your takes?
Ouch, but
Just
you're
saying.
right.
You're a bit younger than most of us
Yes,
here, so
that's
you know
true.
you've been out of the realm for a while. So, what do you think about Dave Mattingly's list?
Truth be told, I haven't seen a lot of them. I haven't seen The Fifth Element in forever. Like that movie, I barely remember. I remember Bruce Willis, and then the one girl, it's Uma. Who the heck plays the lead?
Mila Jovovich.
Thank you. Yes, I remember them. I remember her with the orange hair. Other than that, I don't remember much of it. But the movie that I have seen recently, obviously, is Into the Spider-Verse, and I agree that Spider-Man Noir is perfect. There's no reason why that character needed to play by Nick Cage, but he absolutely nailed it. And I can't read the Spider-Man Noir comics without picturing even the old ones either, where he's like, it smells like rain. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? So I've actually never heard of the Court Jester. So that's definitely one that I do need to check out. So his list is like stuff that I haven't seen or just I haven't seen in a very long time. So
yeah, 1 or 2 of those I haven't seen. And by the way, what was it? Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Grew up watching that, and I had the pleasure of meeting an actress who still looks beautiful, even this many decades later. Morgan Fairchild. Met her at a Comic-Con, had her sign my Pee-wee's Big Adventure Divida, and I said, I really liked your alternate reality take on the character known as Dottie. And she appreciated that. And not only that, Morgan Fairchild looked me dead in the eyes and said, and I asked her, what was it like working with some of the other actors on other TV shows that you've appeared on? She says, well, I was actually really good friends with Mariska Hargitay's mom, Jane Mansfield. And I was telling Mariska stories about her mother that she didn't know when we were working together on an episode of Law & Order SVU. And I was like, oh, like that was awesome.
James Mansfield died when Mariska was very young, very young.
Yeah. And she guest starred in an episode of SVU years later, and Morgan was sharing stories about her mom when they were working on set on SVU. Because I don't know if anyone knows this or not, but SVU is about to drop their 25th landmark season on NBC, the longest-running TV show in history, and Olivia Benson is the longest-running fictional character in the history of television. So, history being made by Mariska Hargitay right there.
Because because that honor was held. The longest was Gunsmoke for so long. But I mean, SVU has and doesn't appear to have any end in sight.
No, they're gonna milk that cash cow for all it's worth, my friend. And Mariska Hargitay is one of the executive producers, so she has a lot of creative control over there, alongside Dick Wolf and his crew up there in New York City. So, which New York's kind of a powerful city for a lot of different reasons. Anyway, Austin, what do you think about Dave Mattingly's list? Any thoughts?
Yeah, Big Trouble in Little China is a lot of fun. I love Kurt Russell's John Wayne impression. He's doing that whole movie. It's pretty great. Yeah, and all his little monologues he goes on, and how he doesn't realize he's a sidekick. It's a lot of fun. That was a Carpenter I came to kind of later, but I do have a signed 8x10 of Carpenter with Kurt Russell on that set, so that's good for the convention. Court Jester, well, let's just say my Danny Kaye filmography knowledge begins and ends with White Christmas. It's the only movie of his I've ever seen. So maybe I'll get around to that one. Fifth Element, I haven't seen in ages. I just remember Chris Tucker being the most annoying character in the history of cinema while I was watching it. And he's in a whole other movie. I don't know what he's doing. But I can't believe he made that and his appearance in Jackie Brown in the same year. two vastly different movies. But I'm going to revisit it at some point. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is great. I think it's a fantastic road movie and just kind of a snapshot of both Paul Rubin and Tim Burton's brain kind of come to life in this wacky reality they live in. But I think it's really great. It holds up. And there's a lot of jokes in there that, you might not get as a kid, but, a lot of little visual references and all kinds of stuff. It's great. And I saw Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse in theaters. I have not seen the sequel because those movies gives me motion sickness. I can't watch them.
I get that. I get that whole.
I literally in the theater, I was watching Into the Spider-Verse, and I damn near had to walk out because I was getting a headache and I wanted to throw up. It's not, it has nothing against the content of the movie. I'm not talking about that. And over on my channel, people are like, "You hate Into the Spider-Verse." I'm like, I don't hate the content of the movie or the character, whatever. The freaking animation gives me motion sickness. Just stop. It's too fast. I can't watch it. I physically cannot watch it.
I'm actually with that, especially when it comes to video games. Like
Yeah.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, when those came out, I physically cannot play them because I get motion sickness playing them because of the camera. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. So I totally get what you're saying.
So yeah, I haven't even seen Across because I even tried to rewatch it just at home, like, but I have a 75-inch TV and it's around so maybe that's even difficult. Maybe if I watch it on a phone someday, you know how movies were meant to be watched.
Watch it on like 5 frames per second.
Yeah, I'll take like 30 seconds at a time and watch it in increments.
You put the playback speed on slow-mo.
Slow-mo, yeah.
Yeah. I really liked it where everybody sounded like zombies the whole time.
Right. So I can't. So yeah, I can't comment too much on the Spider-Verse stuff, but yeah, just because I physically can't watch it.
Yeah, I'm that way with the found footage stuff where it's all hand.
Paranormal
Activity. Oh man, I hate it.
The only movie I've ever walked out in the middle of was Cloverfield because I had to go throw up. I had to go throw up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the only movie I walked out of was G.I. Joe: Rise of the Cobra or whatever. But that's only because it was.
That was for a whole different reason.
Yeah, that was an entirely different reason.
Oh my god, that's a favorite bad movie of mine. Like that's a guilty pleasure right there.
Really,
I like both of them. I actually like Retaliation more than Rise of Cobra, but that's because it's got Dwayne Johnson in it, and he makes everything better for me. So
he made the Doom movie. Actually, it's horrible.
Yeah, even though he said in his acceptance speech, "Hey, do you remember that movie I did called Doom?" No, nobody remembers it either.
That's fair. I get it.
Yeah, all good. I think I won Razzies that year too. For
one other note on Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
Back 3 years ago, my first wife died, and I knew I had to start getting the news out, but I just had a writer's block. I was just kind of stunned. I knew I had to refresh my brain, kind of a palate cleanser. Watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then as soon as it was over, bam, everything all came out. The perfect thing to set my brain back to where it was.
Yeah. Well, you get Paul Rubens and Tim Burton in a room together, some creative things tend to happen. So
I think Paul Rubin is interesting because he's very versatile. Like when you hear him talk, he's incredibly like down to earth, smart, well put together. And then you watch Pee-wee's, and it's a thing. I could never get into Pee-wee's. I don't knock it.
Yeah,
never get into Pee-wee's, but
it's an acquired taste.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, if you can't appreciate Paul Rubens and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, you probably won't appreciate him in Dunstan Checks In.
Fine, I'll go watch Big Adventure.
I don't know, man. I'll take that and raise you Mystery Men. He's pretty good at Mystery Men, though.
Well, he doesn't have Death Speed and all of cinema in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
They call me the shoveler. I shovel.
Yeah, there's the Buffy the Vampire Slayer cameo that he makes. That's kind of memorable. So you may want to look that up on YouTube. You can just watch. His scenes are only like 2 minutes long or 5 minutes, whatever it is. So, by the way, what was it? Creative, not differences, but a scene between one of the movies. I was trying to think of what it was. I had a thought and I lost it. Sorry. Maybe it'll come back to me later. Case, any thoughts on the list here?
Well, I've never seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
You got homework
because I'm not a fan of Tim Burton.
Hey, he made a few good movies before he went south.
Yeah, he made a few good movies that everyone keeps recommending to me, and then I saw a couple of them, and I was like, fine.
Which ones?
Batman is fine. I'm sorry to everyone who loves that movie. Yeah, it's not for me.
Whatever, you're wrong. Really it's a masterpiece.
You know what his best movie is? That's very grounded and a great just biopic. Go watch Ed Wood. Ed Wood's amazing. Ed Wood's an incredible movie.
I do think that's on my watch list. But anyway, again, watch list with the 100 movies. So there you go. So I haven't seen that. I also had not heard of The Court Jester. So maybe I should check it out at some point. But that just goes to my watch list as well. Come on, phone, work with me here. Oh yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. That is not the John Carpenter directed movie where Kurt Russell stars in that I would consider perfect, by far. I think the other one is way better.
Yeah, I agree. Escape from LA is a perfect movie. See what I did there?
But yeah, I see what you did there. That is funny. But I saw Big Trouble in Little China. I thought it was absolutely insane. I did not care for it. I'm sorry.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
But The Thing is way better. Anywho, The Fifth Element is great. It's one of my girlfriend's favorite movies, actually, and she introduced me to it. And now that I've seen it twice, I think the language that Mila Jovovich speaks, and she practiced that on set with Luc Besson. It's complete gibberish, but it sounds like a legit language.
Oh,
which
that's
is
cool.
It's insane. That's one of those trivia facts that I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Also, the diva singing is just one of the greatest scenes ever. I absolutely adore that. And then we have what is by far my favorite pick of yours, Into the Spider-Verse, and let's also mention Across the Spider-Verse because it's just as good. Both these movies are, as people said, they were a bit of a. The first one was a bit of a surprise. The second one is just, it's so good as well. I'm not going to spoil anything. And by the way, I will say, if Beyond the Spider-Verse, because the third one is announced, if Beyond the Spider-Verse hopefully comes out this year, maybe next year, turns out to be as good as the rest, then this could contend against Lord of the Rings for the greatest trilogy of all time, I feel. I really love these movies.
Damn, why did they have to make a fourth Toy Story movie? Because that'd be the greatest trilogy ever.
Hey,
I
look,
agree.
I like Toy Story 4. Does it hold a candle to the great ending that is 3? No.
Why did they have to ruin it?
I
It
think
was in contention.
I think the
They
thing is, though, is
ruined
that
it, but,
if 4 was 3, it wouldn't be bad. But when you watch 4 now, it's like a huge waste of time.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know if it's a waste of time. Whatever.
it's 100% 4 is a waste of
Listen,
time.
to each their own. To each their own. To each their
I
own.
mean, 3 is not great either, so there's that.
What is it?
Well, you can
3 is
leave
Hold
now.
on a second.
You can go piss up a rope with that shit.
Wait, Keith, you're breaking up.
What'd you say?
Right.
No, say it again. I didn't hear you. I didn't catch that.
Toy Story 3 is overrated.
Wrong, sir.
Toy
Wrong.
Story
And you
3 is the
had
only movie
nothing.
in the last 15 years that has made a grown man cry. Me. So
Yes.
yeah, the only movie. The
get
only one.
Nothing. You lose.
You
Good
stole.
day, sir.
You stole fizzy lifting drinks.
Toy Story 2 is my favorite of the group.
Yeah, 2 is the best.
By the way, some people are commenting here in the chat. Got to get out of here. This panel was incredible, full of awesome opinions. Have a great night, says David Mamina. David Mamina, when you go back and watch the replay, check out the other people who have revealed their list because it gets pretty hot takes on here. And All-Star Fandom says, agreed with some of the things you said, Case. I'm not sure what he was referring to specifically about one of
I'm
your
pretty
opinions.
sure it's about Toy Story 3.
No, you're dead wrong. Get out of here. And then
Yeah.
he says, ha, 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 ha. He's laughing at you because you're wrong.
I still think Tangled is one of the best Disney movies.
Whatever, Russ. Whatever. Bobby, any thoughts on Dave's list?
Like everybody else, I've not heard of The Court Jester, so I'll have to check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed The Fifth Element. I thought it was not what I was expecting. I went in expecting one thing and was pleasantly surprised with some of the things that happened in there. So I really enjoyed that one. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was huge. It was another one of those in massive repeats on Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons. When I was, growing up, and yeah, Tequila became like a huge anthem at the time. It was, everybody knew that song. I think also kids loved it because they could go around yelling tequila and their parents wouldn't get upset.
I can't drink tequila anymore.
Yeah. So those were good. I enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse. It didn't make me completely motion sick, but yeah, it's a little. I've not seen the sequel, but I did enjoy the first one.
Sequel's great.
Big Trouble in Little China is fun. I love the movie. I'd forgotten about Escape from LA. I was going to say of the trio of Carpenter Russell movies.
So does Carpenter Kurt Russell.
I would certainly put The Thing as
Vampires is a great movie.
Yeah, but no Kurt Russell in that one. So.
That's true. That's true.
But I do agree. I think in that era too, Carpenter and Russell, there was some magic there.
Yeah.
And it really shows too, because Kurt Russell has some great comedic timing. And it's really on display in Big Trouble in Little China. Like Dave said, he doesn't realize he's the sidekick. He thinks he's the hero. and so we're watching him do all this stuff, and he's playing it like he's one thing, but he's so I give Kurt Russell great props for his comic timing.
He's a fish out of water actor, and I really like that. Like, that's why I was really happy when Liam Neeson said that he wanted to start doing comedy, and I was totally behind that. I'm like, yeah, do comedy.
Well, and Kurt Russell's one of those actors too that is very versatile, because he can do, because he started out as a child actor doing all those Disney movies, and then he goes up to
kicking Elvis in the shin.
Yeah, and then playing Elvis years later.
Oh, that's right. 3,000 Miles of Graceland.
Well, he actually played Elvis.
Directed by John Carpenter.
Yeah, in an Elvis movie.
Oh, really? That was Carpenter? Oh.
That was Carpenter.
Plus, he's also, I don't know if everybody knows this, I found it out not too long ago. He voices Elvis in Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then 3,000 Miles to Graceland, he's the Elvis
movie turns 30 later this year.
I think he's also like a big Elvis fan.
Yeah. There's a great. The best part of like 3,000 Miles to Graceland is at the very end, the after credits is him dressed as Elvis doing one of Elvis's songs.
I had no idea he was a giant Elvis fan.
Yeah.
I'm learning new things about certain actors and actresses on this program.
But he did that Elvis. I think it was a made-for-TV movie.
Made for TV, 78. Yeah.
Yeah, and he played Elvis in that. And he was really good. Yeah.
And the guy, I mean, Kurt Russell's been around for so long. He's still kicking tail and taking names. He's working with his son on the new hit series Monarch: Legacy of Monsters right now. So, well done, Kurt Russell. And by the way,
why
Kurt
did he have to include his son in that?
Dude, it's called passing the torch, dude. That's
no,
what they
I
do.
Understand, but I just think that Wyatt Russell has no acting ability.
Have you seen Monarch though?
No.
Well, then you can't say that. Then you can't say if Wyatt Russell's a bad actor because you've never seen any of his work. I've never seen any of Wyatt Russell's work. That's why I'm not going to give him crap because I
have seen his work. Yeah. I've seen him in movies, and he was in Captain America in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Wait, what did he play in that? Oh, he played U.S. Agent.
Yeah.
Who was he?
He played.
Was he in the elevator scene?
No,
he's the
goofy Captain America, the mean Captain America.
Oh, he's the
new Captain America. Yeah.
He's the one that looks like the dad from Up.
Ryan, it's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. It's a TV show. It's not the movie.
Whatever. He was U.S. Agent. He was fine for what he was working with.
He was terrible.
No, he wasn't. He was supposed to be playing a jerk. And he did his job well. He was getting paid to do a job. So let him go, dude. Seriously, let it go.
I would defend him, but I just saw him in Night Swim, and he's not very good.
I was really hoping that movie. Is that movie good? Is Night Swim good? Oh, damn.
No. I haven't seen.
I was really hoping it'd be great.
Russell's work, so I can't really comment too much.
He was also the lead on that show, Lodge 49.
Never saw it.
I worked on an episode of that. It's really weird. So I got to watch him work. I was in one of I played a hippie. We were like the weirdos. We were the hippies, and we're watching. It's like a cult thing. That sounds creepy. He was pretty good in that. It was funny, but yeah, he's kind of like a stoner guy.
Oh, all right. Well, All Star Phantom says Wyatt was good in the hit series Monarch: Legacy of Monsters alongside his dad Kurt Russell. So there you go. Anyway, did we get to everybody on thoughts on Dave's list, or did we miss somebody?
I think we got everybody.
We got everybody? Okay, just making sure I did right. We got to you, right, Austin?
Yes.
Just making sure. Okay, so with that being good Lord. With that being said, welcome to Perfect Movies Episode 2. We are here with a roundtable of guests sharing 5 movies that they believe to be perfect or near perfect. If you have any thoughts on this, whether it's their list or if you have your own personal list of 5 movies particularly you think are perfect, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. And if this is your first time here and you're watching this live or on the replay, welcome and thank you for being with us. Austin 316. Guess what? It's your turn, mister. So, 5 movies you believe to be perfect and why. What do you got for us, big man?
So I got some all-timers and I've got some personal picks that I think I could kind of make an argument on. Hopefully some people will agree. We'll see. Start with probably the most obvious one, the one that's on my T-shirt. It is my favorite movie of all time. It is Aliens. It is the first thing I thought of when this thing came up. I think it's a perfect sequel. To me, a perfect sequel is one that expands on the mythology perfectly without taking anything away from the original film, but also doing something different, which this one does. It takes it in a more kind of action direction, but still has those horror elements. Great sense of isolation. You have a big character ensemble. You're introduced to a lot of people with all the Marines, but every single one of them has memorable scenes and quotes, and you get to know them very, very quickly, and they're all memorable. It has a great kind of corporate villain aspect to it with Paul Reiser, which is great. And to me, for my money, the greatest just action hero period of all time with Ripley, because she goes from kind of a smart character in the original movie who makes good decisions and kind of a smart survivor to an active protagonist who is being protective, who is protecting this girl, who is taking action and taking charge in the sequel, and establishes herself as, again, not just the greatest female action hero, I think the greatest action hero period. It pulls off the elusive double climax, which is very hard to do in movies, where you're already satisfied with the ending when they escape the planet, but then you get the amazing second climax of the Queen versus Ripley in the mech suit in the power loader, and getting one of the great action lines of all time with the "Get away from her, you bitch," which is earned at that point. It's not cheesy. Incredible James Horner score, Stan Winston special effects, just rest in peace, one of the masters of practical effects. And the reason it still holds up is that practical Queen puppet, animatronic that they have. The power loader is real. Everything's real in this movie, and that's what makes a lot of movies kind of stand the test of time, is how real and lived in they feel. I just think Aliens is a damn near perfect movie. One of my personal picks next is what I think is a perfect monster movie for what it's trying to do. It's a movie that's pretending to be dumb, but it's actually smart, and that's Tremors from 1990. I think Tremors is an incredibly smart film, again, that's playing dumb, but it perfectly sets up the isolation and the location of where they're at in Perfection, Nevada, the actual stakes and the locked-in nature of the film, nice escalation. Again, a lot of characters that you get to know very, very quickly, and get to know, you know exactly who all these people are. They are smart characters who make smart decisions. They are characters that adapt to the situation very quickly. They reason things out, and you understand every decision they make. And it also doesn't even makes you think they're going to make fun of the survivalist characters, Reba McEntire and Michael Gross. Think they're going to just die and be these caricatures, but they actually pay respect and go, hey, guns and survivalism can work and can be a good thing in certain aspects. And one of the great reveals, I think, of all time with their basement sequence, when you do the pullback of the wall of guns, I think it's one of the greatest reveals of all time in a movie. You have incredible payoffs and setups in that film, a really tight script that really doesn't have a lot of plot holes all through it. And again, for what it's trying to be, I think it's a damn near perfect monster flick. My third pick is what I think is kind of a perfect action movie, which is Predator. Predator, I think, sometimes gets overlooked just because John McTiernan went on to make Die Hard, which is another movie you could argue is perfect in its action. But Predator, I think, even beforehand, is the work of a master. In even his first film, you again have great Stan Winston practical effects because it's literally a 7-foot guy, Kevin Peter Hall, in a suit, in an incredible makeup that holds up and it works. Great Alan Silvestri score to go along with it that perfectly adds to the tension. And again, you feel this lived-in world that they're in because they really were in a jungle, and you are in a jungle. You feel the sweat, you feel the humidity, you feel the again the sense of isolation. It's kind of a theme in a lot of mine is kind of a sense of isolation, which I like in the survival. And it's also a reverse action movie. What do I mean by a reverse action movie? It starts out as the machismo, the guys with the guns blowing everything up and shooting everybody, and it gets pared down into a singular horror film. It goes from it has the big, what you would think would be the climactic shootout near the beginning of the film, like 20, 30 minutes in, and then it reverts back to just Arnold versus this Predator one-on-one and becomes a very primal movie, a very raw movie, where he has to use his brains instead of his muscles. which is amazing for Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it's a nice little change of pace when you actually go back and look through his filmography. He has to rely on his training and not just having the biggest muscles and the biggest guns. So yeah, a perfect action film that's almost a reverse action film. My fourth pick is The Truman Show, which I think has aged better than almost any movie other than maybe The Social Network. A movie that still works to this day in the age of reality television, stuff like Big Brother, where we literally watch people day by day. You feel when you watch this movie that you have already lived and you know exactly who Truman is, and you feel like you've watched him for 30 years when you watch this movie, even though you've only been watching him for a certain amount of time. It's an incredibly well-built world that you're thrown right into, and it has perfect character development. I think perfect emotions where it needs to be. It's comedic when it needs to be. It's drama-filled when it needs to be. Nice releases, where you cry at the end of the movie. Great kind of villain stuff with Ed Harris. But yeah, really well made and a great social commentary. I think The Truman Show gets better every single time I watch it. My final one is one that I've been trying to shed light on, and I think not only is a perfect remake or adaptation, but also a perfect horror movie. It is my favorite pure horror movie of all time. That is the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers adaptation with Donald Sutherland, directed by Philip Kaufman. Also Leonard Nimoy's in there, Jeff Goldblum's in there, Brooke Adams. Great movie. Again, sense of atmosphere and tension and isolation, despite the fact that he's just in San Francisco. This movie has, I think, the best use of the concept of body snatchers and my favorite type of horror, which is paranoia horror, which is why The Thing is my second favorite horror movie. I think paranoia horror is the scariest type of horror because when you're dealing with a serial killer or a monster or, somebody like a Jason or something like that, the threat is there. You can see it, and it's right in front of you, and you can deal with it. Either deal with it or you succumb to it or whatever, but it's right there. You can see it. To me, a scarier concept is waking up one day and the people you've known your whole life and the people you trust are not that person anymore, and you don't know who to trust, and you don't know what's going on, and you feel helpless in trying to battle it, which is what Donald Sutherland feels in this movie. I think it's the scariest concept you can possibly do in horror, and a feeling that you can't win. And I think this movie perfectly portrays a concept of hopelessness and, quite frankly, kind of an ending where maybe we don't win. And it's a very realistic horror movie in that thing. But the characters make very logical decisions. The acting is very natural. The dialogue is very natural. It has a tremendous pace to it and a nice escalation. And again, I think it's one of the scariest versions of horror you can possibly do in this movie, done to its perfection. So yeah, Aliens, Tremors, Predator, Truman Show, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Those are my five.
Well, you got some really good picks there. I would venture to say Predator I didn't see till many years later, and then I realized how really good it was. Some good one-liners in that movie too.
Yeah.
That being said, whether it's Arnold saying them or some of the supporting cast members saying, "I got time to bleed," you're bleeding, man. And then Truman Show. Once again, I didn't discover that until way later in the game, and it was very interesting. Very intriguing stuff, and we actually use the clip from that movie at the end of every episode of And I Quote, where he says, "Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night," in case I don't see you, if you know what I'm talking about. And Tremors, I watched it growing up, and I was terrified, because when you're a little kid, you get terrified of things easily for good reason. But then years later, I sat down and I rediscovered it, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I was so wrong about this movie being just or okay or whatever. This movie's fantastic. What the heck was I thinking? This movie's awesome. Good premise, good characters. It cuts right to the chase. Doesn't leave anything, it doesn't have too much meat on the bone, right? It just cuts right to the chase.
You get really right to it. Everything again is practical. It's inventive. It's creative in the monster design. It's all real. And the floor is lava concept is a unique concept that doesn't get used a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's like a 95-minute movie. It's very economical. Most of my movies I think I picked are very economical in how they get things done quickly and get right to the point.
Yeah, that's very fair. And broke into the wrong gosh darn rec room, did you?
You bastard.
That's the edited version. By the way, that's the edited version because we're trying to keep things clean here on this show. Even though we've done a good job of that lately. By the way, some people are chiming in the chat about some of the picks picks here. Dave, whoever he is, Big Trouble in Little China isn't even my favorite Carpenter film. That's They Live with Roddy Piper. Rest in peace, Roddy Piper. Haven't seen it yet, but I need to get on it. I know I'm behind the times. All-Star Fandom says Tremors might be in my top 10 favorite movies ever. Kevin Bacon with a southern accent was amazing.
Can I tell you?
And amazingly great at the same time.
Aliens my number 1. Tremors is my number 2. It may be the movie I've seen more than any other movie in movies. I've seen it probably no exaggeration, close to 1,000 times. I love Tremors. I between having it on VHS when I was a kid, how many times it came on cable, and I watched it. My dad still doesn't get it. Why do you watch that stupid worm movie? Because I tell him it's not stupid. It's pretending to be stupid, but it's really smart. And I just think it's my comfort movie. I can watch it anytime and just have a good time with it.
Dude, Tremors is great because I used to watch that with my mom because it was made in 1990.
Yes,
and that's when I was born.
That makes us feel so much better.
I know. Trust me. I know. I'm
Isn't that right, Bobby?
No,
yeah, I feel really ancient.
Yeah, but my mom and I, like every night, my brother, because I'm an identical twin, so my brother and I would always sit and watch with my mom. Tremors all the time. Like we loved
that's
that
the
movie
family bonding moment over.
It's a really entertaining movie, man.
Listen, Aliens and Alien was what she showed me too. Like she was not a.
She didn't shelter you at all.
She didn't shelter me. Like
your mom
Halloween,
sounds like a very
Freddy
smart
Krueger,
lady.
Like she got me into all this horror.
Very informed, smart lady.
Yeah. So I mean,
Good
Aliens and Alien, I watch almost every freaking year on my 31 days of Halloween.
31 days of Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's fair. And some dude named Dave Malley, I don't know how you can be 3 places at once. The Truman Show would have made it on my list, but I saw that it was already claimed earlier on behind the scenes and behind closed doors.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. By the way, real quick, All-Star Fandom has a top 5 for us. He says, no particular order, Back to the Future, the original, Coming to America, RoboCop, the original, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and TMNT of 1990. You know what, Dion? I'm going to give you this. First of all, RoboCop is definitely up there.
Great
Back to
movie.
the Future is definitely in my top 10 of all time, if not top 15. Terminator 2's good. The Terminator is better. And TMNT 1990 is one of the greatest movies.
I've been Terminator's better than T2 camp.
Yeah. Austin and I are in this small mini boys camp on the other side of the lake. Where
Terminator has Michael Biehn. Terminator 2 has Ed Furlong, who can be a little too much, and Michael Bihn's better. So,
I like the one that Gabriel Luna is the Terminator in it. It's the best fucking movie ever.
I don't know what movie you're thinking.
Dark Fate. Ugh.
Wait, what movie? I don't think that one exists.
No, there's a lot of movies that don't exist. That's just one of them, by the way.
Yeah, like Green Lantern. That movie.
Yeah,
the thing is, like, the Terminator is excellent, and it had one sequel, and that's where it ended.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have said that over the years, and
it's true.
I can understand why they would say it, but anyway. So thank you for sharing that with us, All-Star Fandom. Your top 5 list, anyway. Where was I? Yes, Chad. Any thoughts on Austin's list?
Oh my! I mean, God, yeah, I agree with most of them. I haven't seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's on my list of horror movies, but I'm sorry, I haven't seen a lot of them. But I loved The Truman Show. I think what's interesting that I'm actually really surprised that one made anybody's list. I watched that in high school. Well, and everybody was falling asleep, and I was like hooked on that movie. I think it's an incredibly good, like, psychological piece of just, his entire life is scripted and what would happen. Like nowadays, that would break somebody's mind. It was like The Matrix, like during that time, and I love that. And it also showed too, and I know we've talked about Airplane with this, but it shows that comedians can make dramas, and I loved that. Tremors, I already talked about. Like Kevin Bacon is amazing in that movie. It also reminds me of the game Deadly Premonitions, where York brings up Tremors and says, "Oh yeah, that was a masterpiece that Kevin Bacon was in." It's amazing. Aliens is great. I have nothing else to say about that movie. Like it's almost perfect. But I think your list is awesome. So I love it.
I mean, who can argue with Tremors being on that list? It's so good.
I just had to because I've been on the Tremors train. Everybody on my channel knows how much I love that movie. Like I talk about it constantly, but I don't think enough people realize like how good that movie is, and maybe dismiss it as a silly monster movie. But it's way better than you think it is if you haven't revisited it. It's really,
it's
really
just
good.
It's like it's goofy and serious at the same time.
It's a great horror
It's like,
comedy.
it's
Yeah,
just-
it works. It just
yeah,
works.
and it's
Yeah.
not
Really good.
even a comedy, and that's what makes it good.
Feel free to revisit
Yeah.
it or watch it for the first time if you haven't already. We've given.
By the way, Body Snatcher 78 is on like multiple streaming services
Yeah,
for free, so I
yeah.
highly recommend it. It's really, really good.
I actually
Yeah.
just bought it on physical media because of what
Turn
Austin
the lights out, crank the noise up, and watch it. It's great. It will chill you to the bone. It's amazing.
I bought it recently based on Austin's recommendation, so I'm going to be
Yes.
watching here very soon. Austin, I'm going to text you after I've watched it so you have a full report, okay?
There you go.
You don't have to worry about me on that part. But
Yeah.
anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. All-Star Fandom says I can make an argument that T2 is the greatest action movie ever made. Wrong, sir. You're wrong. There are movies that top that. Sorry. Bobby Nash.
I agree.
Yeah, there are movies that are better than T2.
No, I
Okay?
agree with All Star Fandom. T2
Well,
is
whatever,
the best
dude.
action movie
Whatever.
ever.
Get off your high horse. T2 is not the greatest action movie ever made. That honor belongs to a different film entirely. Bobby Nash, thoughts on Austin's list? Make it quick.
Okay, Aliens is awesome, and Predator awesome. I love what Austin said too about the fact that they both kind of start out as one thing and become something else. They are really very action heavy that become horror movies, and they have that. Especially Aliens pulls off that double climax that is so prevalent in horror movies. You think you've killed the killer, and then they show back up. And so I think those two do that. I have nothing bad to say about Tremors. Tremors is absolutely fantastic. You know, whoever put Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon together,
genius.
That is like perfect casting.
The great thing about Tremors also is the sign of a good movie is when you could watch a movie without the central premise. If you could just keep watching a movie about what it starts being, I could watch a movie just with Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward doing the odd job things, moving on to their aspects, like trying to move on to another way of life. Like that's the sign of a great movie when I could watch that movie and not even have the horror stuff, and it's still a good movie. That's the sign that it's good, and that's what makes that movie good.
I enjoy The Truman Show. I am not a Jim Carrey fan. This is probably one of the best things I like that he's done.
Oh, The Mask is perfect. Anyway.
The Mask is good. I do enjoy The Mask, but overall, I've not enjoyed 99% of. It's not for me. But The Truman Show is a very well made movie, and I think he is really good with those dramatic shots in there. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers is also excellent. I remember as a kid, it scared the hell out of me. And you can't go wrong when you can make that scary as hell.
I may or may not own a T-shirt of that, but just saying, in my closet.
So, and I think too, one of the things that all of the movies on your list too, they all have excellent casts, and I think that really helps a lot as well. Not only are they well-made movies, but man, you've got some fantastic actors in all those movies.
Yeah, you want to see Leonard Nimoy being great outside of Star Trek? Watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He's great.
Yeah.
He's
Wait,
really
Leonard?
creepy. Nimoy's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, he's in it. He's in it. Very early. Babyface Goldblum, man, he's good.
Yeah, and it has that It almost has that late 70s vibe to it. The way they shot it. It's very gritty and
I love 70s movies. Yeah, I'm a big 70s.
So it's got that atmosphere. Like if it was made today, it would be a lot slicker. And so,
you mean like the terrible? Okay, I'll say my expletives, but the terrible Nicole Kidman version, 2007.
Right, I saw that in the theater.
Yeah.
Right. Wait, which movie?
Awful. The Invasion with Nicole Kidman.
So
there's been several versions and adaptations of Body Snatchers. The 56 one with Kevin McCarthy, which is very good as well. I like that movie a lot. I think the 78 one's better and a great remake. There was a 1993 Abel Ferrara version with Arlie Ermey and Forrest Whitaker and Meg Tilly. That's underrated. I think it's still really good. And then there's the terrible version with Nicole Kidman, The Invasion, which is awful.
With Daniel
very,
Craig.
very bad.
Daniel Craig.
Also, I would throw in there.
Shit,
though,
now I gotta watch it.
Another great movie, The Faculty, is a Body Snatchers adaptation, and that movie's great. That movie's really, really good.
I haven't
too.
seen that either.
It's a great post-Scream Kevin Williamson movie. It's really, really
No
good.
wonder I'm so confused about Invasion. There's like
because there's like 50
There's like 50.
and they've taken the premise and putting it like I think Phantoms is technically a
Yeah, there's a movie
Remake,
called
maybe?
The Puppet Masters, also with Donald Sutherland. That's kind of a body snatchers thing.
Puppet Master?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
the
Pod
pu-
people,
not
the pod
not
people.
Puppet
Oh,
Master.
Puppet
the-
Masters is beautiful. I love that series.
The Puppet Masters, which is a
Yeah.
Donald Sutherland movie from '94, I think.
There's one called the Pod People, which is
yes,
Pod
I mean, there's a
People.
lot
it's been
of
adapted many times. Yeah.
Feel free to look it up. There's been remake upon remake of the same 50 movies, which is so sad.
and it'll get remade again at some point. I have no doubt.
Yeah. It's only a
Men in
matter of
Black
time
is
before
also
Hollywood makes
body-
a
a
green
body
light
snatcher
and
movie?
puts some bigwig actors in a remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So
Listen, I gotta tell you, with remakes, when they do bigwig actors, it makes it like a million times worse.
Just ask Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig, even though I thought that version of it was okay for its time. But then again, I never saw the original, so I don't have anything to compare it to, so I can't, say much.
mean, look
But
at Tom
Austin, I
Cruise
got the
with the
78
movie.
version on DVD, so you're welcome.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Dave, any thoughts on Austin 316's list? And no, not that Austin 316, this Austin, not the other guy.
One of my favorite things about the Aliens movie is that the last scene they shot was the Marines all waking up and getting together in the mess hall. Because by that point, they had all been working on set together for a month or whatever. They were all good friends. So you save that for your final shot, and it worked perfectly.
Great callback to the first movie too, the dinner. Having the dinner, and
And also, I'd say another very good sequel is The Mummy Returns. I liked it better than The Mummy for the same reasons that you did.
The
Mummy.
The Mummy is a
the
masterpiece.
99 Mummy is a
Shut
top
up.
10 movie of all time
Yeah,
for me. I love that
that's
movie.
a masterpiece.
That movie's
It's
phenomenal.
ironic because that movie turns 25 later
I
this year.
consider Chad. I was this close to putting The Mummy on my
I
five.
did.
I might if I do. This
almost
close.
did.
This close.
Like,
Because that movie's amazing. That movie's so good.
The movie's fun. The movie's fun.
That movie's a perfect piece of adventure entertainment. That's what it is.
And
It
it's
is.
fun too.
Yes.
So I'll give you that on The Mummy. Which, by the way, The Mummy turns 25 later this year. We may or may not be celebrating
Yeah,
that.
it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Listen, I gotta
I think
tell you right
Austin's
now,
going to have a front row seat to when we get to it.
That'll just be another quote along, because I could quote the whole damn movie front to back.
Brendan Fraser,
yeah.
he did a fucking comeback with The Whale and Doom Patrol as Robot Man. Fucking incredible. Like that man.
It's good to see him back.
Yeah,
He's
like
back.
when they cast him as Robot Man as Doom Patrol, I was like, yeah,
A lot of
I'm
people
in.
were
I'm in
excited.
with this.
Yeah.
When the
I
news
got to watch
officially
Fraser is one of his lesser known ones, A Blast from the Past.
Yeah, Blast from the Past isn't too shabby either. It's got Alicia Silverstone before her
Yep.
life kind of went sideways for a couple of decades. No offense, Alicia. No offense, but sometimes people in Hollywood don't have the best of careers. But hey, you came back. You came back, and you're doing much better now. So congratulations, Alicia Silverstone. Well done. Let's see. Case. Case, you've known Austin for...
Finish Dave. Finish Dave.
Oh, finish Dave. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Predator. Some people say that the true villain was the Razor doing the dry shave. But I've done that before. I don't think it's that big a deal.
We all do it.
Oh, gee. No, I don't.
Other
Shush,
like
Ryan, you're in denial.
paranoia horror is Get Out from from what 10 years ago or whenever he started doing his horror movies, and being John Malkovich, which is very interesting and fun to watch in a lot of ways. For Tremors, my favorite one is number 4, The Old West. But I can certainly appreciate
The Legend Begins. The Legend Begins. Tremors 4 is called. That's
Wait,
actually my
what?
second favorite. That's my second favorite.
It is, I am so disappointed. We will never get to see the one that Kevin Bacon tried to.
The pilot episode that's out, the trailer's out there. Yeah.
Oh, for the TV series.
Yeah, he tried to reboot the
yeah.
entire series with a TV show.
Which is ironic, given the fact that he didn't want to be in the original movie in the first place and thought it was the death of his career. And it's come full circle.
Yeah,
That he's,
it
like,
turned out to be
trying
the
get it done.
resurgence of his career.
Yeah, exactly.
A weird early Kevin Bacon career thing is that A Few Good Men, he was not originally the opposing counsel. That was originally Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy. But when he was on screen, everybody laughed, even though he was being dramatic stuff. And they had last minute reshoot and film a whole new actor in those scenes. But But the Truman Show absolutely is a perfect movie.
Wow.
Nothing bad to say about the Truman Show at all.
They had to do reshoots with Kevin Bacon on A Few Good Men that just turned 30 a year or two ago. My gosh, that's insanity.
Ryan, your nerdness is showing. I just want to say it.
I'm just saying, like, it's, I didn't know that at the time. Let's see here. Gosh almighty. Case, you got thoughts on some guy named Austin, whatever the heck you just said?
Well, my thoughts is you have a lot of horror picks. And the thing is,
that's my favorite genre, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Which I don't
actually one of my
understand,
least.
but okay.
Horror is actually one of my least favorite genres.
Same
at least,
here.
Up until recently, a couple of years ago, when I got into more horror movies that I do like, because my gripe very often with horror movies is that the characters are doing stupid things for the sake of the plot to happen. Tremors is the opposite of that. And I was so surprised by the fact that Tremors is actually a really smart movie for like some random ass monster B movie from the 90s and I watched it and I was seriously surprised by it, how much I enjoyed it, how much I actually think that the characters are smart. And it's, as you say, maybe on the surface level it seems dumb, but it's smarter under the surface, I feel. So Tremors is actually like a really fun, good movie. So I can see why you like it so much.
And the alien is smart as well. The Predator is smart.
Well, in a lot of my movies, again, the adaptation, both the Predator and the Graboids and Tremors adapt as well along with the characters and get smarter and adapt to what happens in the movie, which keeps the tension high. They're not just stupid.
Exactly.
They figure things out.
Austin, I really want to pick your brain about other horror movies.
Please.
I want to know have you seen Malignant?
Yes, Malignant is batshit crazy.
That is a fucking incredible movie. It's like 19 different genres. And
awesome. That's a whole nother. Yeah,
I sense a bromance being formed here.
Yeah, we can bond.
Maybe Chad needs to slide into Austin's DMs and just.
Once Chad mentioned that his mom introduced him to like Tremors and aliens, I'm like, hey, you know what? We might have like a thing here.
No, it's true. My mom introduced me to a lot of horror movies.
That's fantastic.
Does that mean she introduced you to all the other ones, like the Halloweens, the Friday the 13th, the Nightmares on Elm Street, and all that stuff?
Species, Friday the 13th.
By the way, have you seen all four of them though?
No, I've only seen the first two.
Okay. Because I wanted to hear your thoughts on Species 3 and 4.
Okay.
I may or may not own Species in 4K.
Hellraiser is also one of my. Hellraiser was one of my honorable mentions as well.
Oh, Pinhead. Yeah.
So.
Is that what his character name was? Was it Pinhead?
It is. It was originally not his name. He was just a Xenobite, but because of like branding purposes. Anyway, we're not getting.
Yeah, they called him Pinhead for some reason. They went with that anyway. Has anyone not shared their thoughts on Austin 316?
I have. I only just started and then.
Okay, sorry.
Some other people cut in.
Chad derails everything. Case, blame him. What's on your mind?
Sorry.
Yeah. God damn it, Chad. Anyway, but to continue, I have never seen any of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers movies or its remakes or whatnot. I have seen The Faculty, and I did enjoy that for what it was. So I'm interested now to go back and see that maybe. But yeah, add it to the list, Predator is a lot of fun. It's extremely campy 80s stuff, but it is fun. I'll say that. And it's infinitely quotable. I will agree with I will agree with what everyone said about the Truman Show. And the funny thing is, quite recently, the Nostalgia Critic did the Truman Show, and even he called it a perfect movie. And the Nostalgia Critic is extremely critical about movies, so that is huge praise because the Truman Show is a perfect movie, start to finish. There's nothing wrong with it. So yeah, it's really good. And my favorite of your picks, Aliens. I have the Blu-ray, and what I like about this Blu-ray is it actually has both versions of the movie, both the director's cut and the theatrical cut, and I like both a lot. I think the director's cut does add something that the theatrical didn't have, and okay, you watch the theatrical, think it's an excellent movie, and then you go to the director's cut and enjoy that one for what it is as well. So I think both are really good. For what they are. I just think Aliens is James Cameron at his peak, and James Cameron knows how to do sequels. I quickly want to go back to T2 because look, I know, Ryan, you hate T2 and you will always say, oh my God, Terminator is better and whatnot. Can I just for a moment, without you interrupting, say that T2 is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I think it's excellent. I thank you, Dijon was his name, right? I think so.
Dion.
But anyway, I thank you for bringing it up because Terminator 2 is insanely phenomenal. And it still holds up. The only reason that I actually didn't pick it is because it has one minor issue. It has the exact same plot as the first one. The first one has other issues, in my opinion, mostly the visual effects at times. And also, like, the first one I feel is a slasher movie. The second one is an action movie. So if you are more into the horror genre, you probably will like Terminator 1 more. I prefer action. I definitely am not that big a fan of horror. And while I think the Terminator is great, I think T2 is just better. That's all I have to say.
Well, that's the weird thing about me is so I prefer Aliens over Alien, despite that Alien is the pure horror movie and Alien is not.
Weird, yeah.
And yet I prefer. But again, Keith, I want to make this clear. Terminator 2 is still a top 100 movies of all time for me. Like Terminator 2, or just the first one is like a top 20, like sort of thing. Like that, it's not taking anything away. It just for whatever weird reason, when it comes to Terminator, I prefer the slasher horror aspect of the first one. I don't know why.
No, I get that.
Why it is. And real quick, my 15-second pitch on why horror is my favorite genre, because some people go, I don't get it. Why is it your favorite genre? You know why? Because horror has no rules. You can do anything you want to do.
Thank you. Thank
no
you.
100%. Rules. You can do anything. Almost every other genre has to be grounded in some kind of reality, some kind of basis of something. You can set up any kind of world, any kind of premise, any kind of monster, ghost, alien thing, whatever, anything. You can do anything in horror movies, and there's no rules whatsoever, and that's why I love horror.
Listen,
you can take any crazy premise you want and do it.
As a horror writer, that's exactly what I love about it, is because even when anything public domain happens, there's immediately a horror movie about it.
Yes.
Like there is no rules that you need. Like the Steamboat Willie horror movie, trailer came out, like Blood and Honey, and they're awful. I could not get through the first 15 minutes of Blood and Honey, but it's just like the rules are. There are no rules.
There are no rules in horror.
Love what horror.
If you want to have a girl have a machine gun as a leg, you can do that.
Yes.
Oh, with
Planet
Terror.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Planet Terror, which was a great. I actually saw that. Saw that not in theaters.
In the theater or outside of a theater?
I don't remember. I just remember seeing Planet Terror.
It was probably outside of a theater.
It probably was.
It was somewhere. Real quick, I do want to say sorry that if we derailed Case's thoughts on the certain individuals list. We do apologize for that. That's a technical issue. That's an issue. I'm sorry. We're sorry. Number two, I don't hate Terminator 2 by any stretch of the imagination because it was one of the first action movies I ever saw as a kid. I absolutely love it. I still do to a point, but I just feel like, for me anyway, the Terminator is far superior to T2 in different ways. That's all it is. But I still like Terminator 2. I still think it's a really solid film, whether you're watching the theatrical cut, the special edition, the unrated extended director's cut, whatever the heck it is. There's 3 different cuts of that movie.
Oh, and it might be a hot take. My favorite version of Terminator 2 has the happy ending. And the reason that is my favorite, it's essentially you have 2 endings to that movie. One ending is where they just follow the road, and you have Sarah Connor narrating over it. The other one is showing the future, where John grew up, has a kid, Sarah is a grandmother, and they're just in a playground. Because that essentially confirms to me there is no sequel. That's where it ends.
Is that in the?
I hate every single Terminator sequel.
Is that in the special edition cut of the movie or the third?
It's
the director's cut.
It's some cut.
Okay, I have to go back and revisit that because I just bought it recently on DVD that has both cuts on it. So I need to go back and watch. What is it? The special edition version. All right, I'll sit down and watch that. And in case, I'll get back to you on the scene that you're talking about because I haven't seen that in a long time. Okay, so just take that.
It is a nice ending. Like if you just wanted to watch those 2. Yeah, it wraps up the story, and
I haven't seen it in
you're
forever.
good.
So I need to sit down and rewatch that, and then I need to text Case and tell him how sorry I am. Probably later. About that. Does anyone else have any thoughts before we move on to the last person? Anybody else? Did I miss anyone? No? I didn't? No? Okay, great. For those of you wondering what the Bantha fodder is going on, this is Perfect Movies Episode 2. We're talking about 5 movies that each of our panelists, including yours truly, believe to be perfect or near perfect. If you have any thoughts on any of these lists that we have mentioned thus far, or if you have movies that you believe to be perfect, and they could be 5 or something like that, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. And if this is your first time here, welcome. If you're joining this live or on what is known as a replay, we thank you for being here. Do really appreciate it. So now that we've gotten Austin's list out of my system, we're gonna I'm just kidding, man. It's a good one. I'm not gonna argue.
Listen, I can't say I didn't consider Ernest Goes to Camp, but that's for another episode.
And Case is like, woo, I don't want any part of that one, pal. Don't worry about it, man. You're fine. So for me, I'm going to go with 5 movies that I consider to be perfect or near perfect. These are the ones that I came up with. I had to call an audible on one of these because Bobby took one of mine. I'm not happy about that, Bobby. But I'll move on with my life. So let's go with this. This director has been brought up a number of times on this episode, so let's just get this one out of the way first. Die Hard. The first one, the original.
Best
the
Christmas
original
movie.
Christmas celebration at Nakatomi Plaza was going so well in the first few minutes, and then all of a sudden things go terribly wrong. And that's presented by the late, great Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber. And this was his first film he ever did at the age of 42. This was Alan Rickman's first gig at 42. That's absolutely insane to think about. But this movie is great in all the right ways. Great one-liners, great action sequences, certainly great action sequences, a lot of great practical effects. And Bruce Willis became a household. I mean, he was already great on Moonlighting, but this turned him into a household name. So, well
very
done.
Quotable. Very quotable.
Oh, yes, yes. Especially when he says, Mayday, Mayday. Anyone copying on Channel 9? Sir, this line is for emergency use only. No effing stuff, lady. Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza? Like, that's one of my all-time favorite lines. And by the way, Bobby, Nakamoto will not be joining us for the rest of his life. So there's that. So that's a great movie right there. No question about it. And good stuff. So that's one of them. Let's go to another action movie that just happens to be turning 15. This Die Hard just turned 35. This one's about to turn a healthy-looking 15, and it's Liam Neeson laying the smackdown on evil's candy behind, although he's done it many times before in other movies in different characters. But in this one, Liam Neeson's getting old. He's not getting any younger. But you know what? The guy can still break your neck without even thinking twice, and he does it excellently well. In this movie known as Taken, starring Liam Neeson, famkejannsen, speaking of Bond girls, hello there, and Maggie Grace. Not a lot of people knew who Maggie Grace was until this movie came out, so she became a bit of a name overnight. And then she did a little indie film called Lockdown with Guy Pearce that no one saw, except me. I saw it in the theater, I'm ashamed to say. But Taken's a good action movie. It's Liam Neeson rescuing his daughter from bad people. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but this is a situation that still sort of happens with people who travel overseas, and they get either abducted or they get turned into something I don't want to say here on air. But you know where I'm going with this. So in other words, be very careful when you travel. Be safe. Be smart. Take people with you. Don't travel by yourself. And yeah, you get some life lessons out of this.
Actually, hang on. Hostile. That's all I'm going to say about traveling by yourself. Anyway,
no,
let's continue.
We don't talk about that. That's not happening.
That movie is.
That I couldn't even get through 2 minutes of that. No. So Taken's a good one. So look it up. It turns 15. We're actually going to be doing a 15th anniversary watch along of that this Sunday, believe it or not. And Case and some dude named Austin is going to be joining us for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Isn't that right, gentlemen? Yeah, they don't care. But they're going to be there.
I'll be there.
And, you don't like
this?
Oh, no,
I gotta be there.
Let me know when you're doing that.
Guy. I thought it was really, he's really good.
No, it's a good movie. It's
a good movie. We're going to be celebrating it this Sunday, Chad. So join us in the chat. Say hi to us. We appreciate it. So there's another movie for you, Taken. And here's one that just turned a healthy-looking 10 years young. The greatest X-Men movie in the history of American cinema, and nothing will ever top it. And I mean nothing will ever top it. I don't care what Marvel Studios says. I don't care what Kevin Feige has to say about it. I don't care what actors are coming back or which actors are getting recast. I don't care. This movie is perfect, beyond recognition. It is. Simply put, great premise, great cast. You bring 2 different generations of actors together, and they work together seamlessly. And we finally get the debut of the flippin' Sentinels, which we've waited 15, 20 some odd years to get the Sentinels in a movie. And we finally did. So
they appeared in The Last Stand.
Yeah, but it's someone cut off the head. It wasn't like it wasn't like a full-on scene. But anyway, I digress. They make a cameo in Last Stand, but no one really, not too many people remember that. But anyway, X-Men: Days of Future Past, my favorite X-Men movie. It's the best X-Men movie of all time, not counting spin-offs and all that other stuff. X-Men: Days of Future Past, greatest X-Men movie ever made. If you haven't seen it, sit down, watch the theatrical cut, or if you watch the Rogue cut, also known as the director's cut, that is just as good, if not better. So check out both cuts. I think you'll be very pleased. If you don't know who the X-Men are, it's a great film. Great stuff. Another movie that's going to sail under the radar, but I think it's a really good one. I think it's perfect. I just did a rewatch of it not too long ago. If you're a fan of writers such as C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, granted, a number of their novels have been brought to the screen and television screens over the many, many decades that media has been alive. But this iteration of it was rebooted by Walt Disney Pictures and Walden Media in 2005, respectively, of course. And this is the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Speaking of James McAvoy, who also happens to be in Days of Future Past, this is one of his first gigs in this movie. So you get a young, really young, and he doesn't seem to really age either. So James McAvoy, you must have drank the tiger blood. So he's in this movie as Mr. Tumnus, right? You get him in there. You also get Tilda Swinton as Jadis, the White Witch, in this movie. And you get a young group of people who no one's ever heard of them. They're undiscovered talent, and Hollywood needs to cast more unknown actors and actresses in movies because that's how people become stars. Don't keep casting the same 5 people. It's not going to work. But these 4 young actors here, I can't remember all their names offhand, but they're really, really good, really, really smart, very, very driven. If you're a fan of fantasy adventure and you want a new generation of fans to be introduced to the fantasy adventure genre, watch this movie with them, and I guarantee you they're going to have smiles on their faces that may even get a bit emotional. And also you get Liam Neeson as Aslan, the lion, the voice of the mighty lion in Narnia. So Liam Neeson, he's so good at live action, he's just as good as a voice actor.
He's Jesus.
I don't know about that, but
Aslan is just Jesus. But anyway.
Well, that's hey, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But just saying. So, Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the first installment of the Walt Disney Pictures trilogy that they did of the Chronicles of Narnia adaptation. So check it out if you haven't seen it. And last but not least, since Bobby took one of my picks, Bobby, it's okay. You and I are still friends, okay? Don't worry about it. Had to call an audible, but it's okay. That's what we have him for. I'm going to go with a film that maybe a lot of people like, maybe they don't, maybe it kind of sails under the radar, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't sail under the radar. I'm talking about Rocky VI, aka Rocky Balboa from the year 2006. Okay? So Rocky ended originally with Rocky V. Terrible movie. No one cares. Not very good. We don't really think about it. But they decided to give it a bit of a reshake and a reboot, if you will, soft reboot, with Rocky Balboa in 2006. Because Sylvester Stallone in the studios were like, hey, my character's getting long in the tooth, but I think he still has one more fight left in him. So let's do it. And what do you get? You get one of the best motivational speeches that's ever been uttered in a film. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. And you also get a young up-and-coming Milo Ventimiglia from NBC's Heroes, from Gilmore Girls. He's been in a billion other shows over the years, including Gotham. So there you go. Rocky Balboa's got a great message, great characters, great cast, great score, great direction. Fantastic stuff. The Italian Stallion, Philadelphia's own. And it's always sunny in Philadelphia when you're watching this movie. Guaranteed. If you've never seen it, if you want to be introduced to the character of Rocky, you can watch the originals if you want. It's fine. But if you watch Rocky Balboa, you're going to get so much out of it and then some, ladies and gentlemen. So those are my 5 picks. Those are the 5 movies I decided to go with on this episode of Perfect Movies, episode 2, which is, in this case, it's also known as a sequel. Chad, what are your thoughts on my list?
I've never seen Rocky Balboa, and I didn't know there was a Rocky 6. So that just shows what I know about the Rocky universe. I heard Creed is really good. I haven't seen any of those. Days of Future Past is great because I feel like that is just a really fun, goofy comic book movie to sit through. You have, what is it? Is it Peter Dinklage? Is that the one with Peter Dinklage? The Sentinels? It's just, it really tries to be a good it really tries to be a good comic book movie. I did love it. I haven't seen it in a while. The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe was something that really surprised me. I thought it was a movie. I thought it was fine. Taken's great. Die Hard is the perfect Christmas movie. So those are my opinions on your list. So I don't have a lot of thoughts because I just don't. So
No, it's it's cool. It's all
fair.
good. Don't worry about it. What about you, Dave Mattingly? Any thoughts?
Die Hard is fantastic. The first four are all great. My favorite is 2. I know that is not at the top of most people's lists. Taken, I thought was okay. Not certainly not a bad movie. Just not something I would rewatch a lot. I liked all of the Narnia movies, but especially Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. And McAvoy as Mr. Tumnus was fantastic. Days of Future Past, like you said, is the best X-Men movie. And believe it or not, I have never seen any of the Rocky movies.
Actually, what X2? I wanted to know your opinion on that, Ryan. But
I think it's like if we're ranking the X-Men movies, like Days of Future Past is my number 1, and then I think X2 would be my number 2. I think.
Sure.
I think it would be, and then number 3 would either be First Class or the original first one.
It's fair.
So I think they're tied for 3rd because I like them for different reasons. Honestly,
I need to go back and watch Days of Future Past now.
We did it. Yeah, you can watch that, and then you can
check out our watch along we did last week.
We did a watch along last week.
Yeah, right.
Anniversary. It was a lot of fun. By the way, that video has over 180 hits now, so it's climbing the mountain there, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of hits on that one. So if you haven't seen it yet, feel free to go back and revisit it. It's on our
Chad, if you're interested in my other movie opinions, watch any watch-alongs on one. We're doing lots of tangents. Lots and lots of tangents.
That's why listen, I'm the master of tangents. So
I saw you on Chris's show. Yeah, we know how tangenty you can be. I was on a show with you last week, and I know what kind of a person you are. So it's all good. We're all fans here, right?
Yeah.
All good, but yeah, revisit Days of Future Past and then watch our watch along because Case and Austin and I have some good thoughts about that.
That's why I was prepped with Coyote Ugly. So.
you were prepped for that one, pal. What about any other thoughts, Chad? Are you good to go?
No, I'm good. Sorry, just
want to make sure you didn't miss anything there. Austin 316 says about Ryan's list is what? What do you think?
Well, 2 of these films you can just watch the watch along I was on for 2 of them and just get my thoughts on them.
You were? I didn't know that.
I might have been on the Die Hard watch along, and I might have also been on the Days of Future Past watch along. So you can find my thoughts over there. First Class is the best X-Men movie. And then Taken. I like Taken. I think it's a good movie. 2 awful sequels that probably shouldn't exist. My favorite part of Taken 2 is when they try to find the location of Liam Neeson by the girl running along the roof and chucking grenades off the roof. That's my favorite.
That was Maggie Grace's
what the hell is going on in this movie? And when they rip the Drive music for zero reason whatsoever. It started a trend that I don't love of the old secret badass movies that like mostly have been bad, but a couple of good ones. I think the best of which have been the Equalizer movies, just because Denzel rules. This whole trend of like the old secret badass movies and everybody has to have one, I'm not necessarily on board for because they've been of diminishing quality. And Liam Neeson just being a bad action star. I think he's a bad action star, especially in a lot of these really bad movies. He's good in this, but
he has a certain set of skills.
Go watch Retribution from last year. It's not a good movie.
He does have a certain set of skills, though, in this movie that outshine a lot of other people in other movies. So
I think that Liam Neeson, when he said that he wanted to try comedy, it reminded me of Leslie Nielsen's Airplane. So I'm very excited to see it.
Right.
Anyway.
He's still supposed to do some Naked Gun thing, like supposedly it's in development hell, so we'll see how that goes. Narnia, I'm not a fantasy guy. I haven't seen those Narnia movies. The only one I've seen is there was a 70s TV movie of Narnia. If anybody remembers this, it was like a TV adaptation. Yeah, something like that. I used to they used to come on TV a lot, and so I saw that, but I've never seen the other ones. I'm not a fantasy guy really, so it's just not my bag. The Rocky franchise I love. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. I've seen all those movies 1,000 times. Like I love them. And I will defend Rocky 5 a little bit in this aspect. It actually, you can retroactively make it work in the continuity of some stuff from Creed where he's hesitant to take on a new apprentice or trainee because of what happened with Tommy Gunn. So you can kind of retroactively work it to make it work with the plot. Just saying. There's a way you could We'll make that work.
Maybe. Although
Yeah.
I do enjoy the Creed movies, so there's that.
Yeah, I just my only argument is that in Creed he's so hesitant to like take on training whatever. And if you can work Rocky 5 into that of what happened the last time he took on a new son and a new trainee and that it turned on him, very quickly. So
Rocky 5 doesn't work as a standalone movie.
No.
As part of the series.
No,
it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's okay. It's got its moments. It's not that bad.
It's worse for me than Rocky 4.
The Rocky 4,
Rocky 4 is kind
director's cut. If you watch that and then go watch Creed 2, it's a fantastic double feature.
Probably, but I choose not to.
I'm more interested in the fact that Rocky made any of these lists. It's like,
well, hey, surprises are
sure.
That's
fair.
These shows. It's a thing, but Rocky 6 is better than 5 and 4 combined. I don't care what anyone says. Anyway, that's my take on that. But Bobby Nash, you've been around the Rocky movies for a number of years. You may have met the guy when you were walking around Philadelphia a couple years ago, a couple decades ago, or whatever it was. What are your thoughts on my list, if any?
I mentioned earlier, I love the movies of someone chasing their dreams. And certainly most of the Rocky movies, I mean, that's the central premise. They are not boxing movies. They are movies about a boxer. And I think that's a bit of a distinction, that they're very character-driven movies that have boxing in them. And I loved Rocky Balboa because seeing him at that age, they don't make it to where he's just the same guy. I mean, they take into account how much older he is, but we also see what has become of his life after, and then that's really been the main focus of the Rocky movies. And so I think Rocky Balboa works for me. I love that movie. I saw the first Narnia. I've not seen any of the sequels. It didn't grab me. Much like Austin, I'm not a huge fantasy guy, so it didn't really grab me. Same with Taken. I've only seen the first one. I have not seen the sequels. I thought Taken was good, but it just, I never had the urge to watch the sequels. X-Men: Days of Future Past is a good movie. I enjoyed it. I loved the combining of the two different X-Men franchises together. I'm also a fan of the story that it adapts, although it adapts it very loosely, because it adapts a 2-issue comic book story. But it's fun. But it's a fun movie. And sorry, what was you going to say?
I was going to say, is Days of Future Past only 2 issues?
Only 2 issues.
Damn, I thought it was a lot longer than. Okay, anyway.
and of course, the movies focused on different characters, because in the comics, it's Kitty Pryde who makes the trip back into her younger self. And obviously, it made more sense in the movies because Kitty was a very small part of the movies, and we really had
Hugh Jackman.
We had the Wolverine connection. So I thought that was great. I those actors together, I thought all worked. Seeing the younger and the older versions of Magneto and Professor X, I thought really worked. And so, a fun movie. And what can I say about Die Hard that hasn't been said 100 times? It's probably one of the top 5 action movies of all time. I think it's excellent, and it's just one of those movies that I don't think when I watched it the first time I expected much, because I was like, oh, it's that silly guy from Moonlighting. I was not expecting it to be as what it became, because it was one of those movies, much like with Jaws earlier. It kind of changed the landscape. Action movies suddenly became more like Die Hard, where that trapped central, everything happening quick. Previous to that, most action movies were like a Dirty Harry thing that took place over longer periods or things like that. So I think that dropping a character in the immediacy of a problem and just solving one problem like that over a movie became a thing more after Die Hard. And Dave, I love Die Hard 2 as well. It's not my favorite, but I do love Die Hard 2 as well.
Another vent, another elevator shaft. How can the same thing happen to the same guy twice? On
It's
Christmas.
weird. If I had a nickel for every time that it happened, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened.
2 nickels means you would have 10 cents to your name up to that point.
Which is so weird that you have 10 cents.
It does have there is a great line too that in Die Hard 2 that I think really sums up John McClane, and it's where they're flying, the helicopter's flying over the plane, and the pilot's giving him hell, because he's like, well, I don't like to fly. He's like, I don't like to fly, and then what are you doing up here? I don't like to lose either, and that's really what motivates John McClane through these movies is, he could have easily at multiple points in either of those movies sit back and let the people's jobs deal with it.
Yep.
And chose not to.
That's what I like a lot about.
The Die Hard 2 has one of the best endings in any film at all. Setting fire to the gas tank while it's
fuel line
and using that as it was so amazing.
And then the yippee-ki-yay so-and-so comes out at the end there. Yeah.
And
can't say it on national television here, but
And that's such a line too. Like in the first one, because like in the first one, I don't think it was meant to become like a catchphrase that because it really is just a line of dialogue that works.
Something he says
in the conversation.
Yeah.
But he delivers it. I mean, Bruce Willis is so funny. It's such a funny guy.
Great comedic timing.
He also does the music. He also tried to be a singer. So
anyway. And like I said, Die Hard came out at the time that Moonlighting was on. So
it was a big hit.
We knew him as that. Like I knew him as that silly guy. Because Moonlighting, he is not is hardly ever serious at all. So seeing him kind of bump into that action, and because he's not what we thought of as an action hero at that time. Action heroes were guys like Arnold and Sly.
They were built like a truck.
They were big, muscly.
They were bigger than a linebacker for a pro football team.
Yeah, this is just a guy.
Just a normal guy.
Yeah, but that paved the way too for other, actors who were not Arnold or Sylvester Stallone or Mel Gibson or whatever to become, to get a chance to do. Yeah.
That's why I liked Christopher Nolan's Happy, because it's just a guy. Like I like Happy. Like Grant Morrison's Happy. Underrated comic, underrated TV show. Anyway, continue.
Gotcha. Yeah. Can't comment or speculate. I just know him best as Elliot Stabler, that he played for over 12 years on SVU. So well done, Chris Maloney.
Fair.
And he's back too. He's doing the Law and Order Organized Crime. They're on their 4th season, I think, or 5th season already, which is crazy. Crazy.
Whatever.
That's
don't
television
like CSI,
for you. That's television.
Whatever.
But yeah, as far as what you were saying earlier, another line that sums up John McClane's life is, you're the guy in the wrong place at the wrong place at the wrong time in the wrong whatever. And he says, story of my life.
Yep.
True. It's true. Wrong place, wrong time. Isn't that right, Bobby Nash?
That's right.
It's a thing. For those of you wondering what we're doing here, it's Perfect Movies Episode 2, talking about movies we believe to be perfect. If you have thoughts on any of these lists or some that you believe to be perfect, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Don't forget to like and share this with everyone you know. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're joining us live on the replay, we thank you for being with us. Case, any last words on the Rye Guys list, or are you just going to say, I've had enough of this?
No, I have thoughts. Because unlike every person ever, I'm just going to say I'm not the biggest Die Hard fan. On the other hand, though, I can't really say that there's anything necessarily wrong with it that I dislike. It's just I don't love it. Sue me. Anywho, Days of Future Past is phenomenal. We did the watch along, so for anyone who wants to hear my thoughts on that, go watch along. I'm not going to say anything else here over there. Yeah, and then another watch along that we're going to do is Taken this Sunday. Check it out. I'm not going to say anything what I think about that movie, but there's a reason I'm on the watch along, so there's that. Chronicles of Narnia. I am personally a bigger fan of the other movies that are based on a book with child actors in it, which was called Harry Potter, and it was 10 million times better. I thought Chronicles of Narnia was extremely long movie, 2.5 hours. I didn't much care for it, sorry. And the reason that I have not seen Rocky 6 is because I didn't care for the first Rocky. Sue me again. I know everyone loves it to death. I don't. I think Creed is better, but that's me. Yay for hot takes, right?
Yeah, certainly. No, look, I get it. I watched the first Rocky years ago, and I just didn't think the hype was there for it. I didn't get it. I don't get why people were obsessed with it. So I just kind of let it go. But then when I watched Rocky 2 and 3, I realized, oh, the sequels are better than the first one. Okay, so that's how we roll up in here when it comes to Rocky, at least in my opinion. But and then Rocky 6 was fantastic. And then obviously we got the spin-off series known as Creed, and that's doing successfully very, very well. I think they're gearing up for a Creed 4, I think, at some point in the future. I don't know if that's true or not. But they should have ended it at 2, but to be honest. But 3 was really good. I really like 3, although the co-star in that movie has ran into some legal trouble. So that it's, a little bit of an odd thing there. But the movie is still good on its own. Creed 3 is still really good if you haven't seen it. But those are, hey, that's neither here nor there. There's my 2 cents on that. Well, thank you, Case, for being so respectful and kind and throwing some of my favorite movies or franchises under the bus. Listen, Harry Potter movies are 2.5 hours long, okay? So don't complain about the runtime with Narnia.
No, I get it. It's just I only watched Narnia once, and the one time I thought it dragged really hard, and I don't think that with Harry Potter. I think Harry Potter is just better. Yeah. That might also be because I completely grew up with the books and the movies.
Yeah, see, I feel the same way about the Harry Potter movies as you do about Narnia. Oh, and I feel that way about Narnia too. They just were, they lost me quick. I've only seen 2 of the Harry Potter movies.
I saw 8 of them, and then I thought, okay, I've seen this. I don't need to go back and see it anymore. So, But hey, different things for different people. That's just the way it is. By the way, some people are in the chat here. Let's see. Some strange reason, the Ghost of Christmas Future with Dave Mattingly's here. For fans of Tremors, I recommend the short film known as Recorded Live. Okay. The first rule of Horror Club is that there are no rules in Horror Club. Okay. Goodness
True.
gracious.
I get that.
Even though if you saw the first Scream movie, there actually are rules when it comes to horror movies. You need to watch that scene from Scream, and then you'll understand why. Dave Mattingly says, for old secret badass movies, I like Red, which I believe means retired and extremely dangerous. If I'm not mistaken.
Was Red the one with Morgan Freeman?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. It was him. It was Malkovich. It was
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce Willis, and then Carl Urban was also in that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on a comic book.
It was, yes.
Who was the love interest? What was her name?
Oh,
it's not
Mary Louise Parker, or was it
Mary
Helen...
Louise Parker? Mary Louise Parker.
Was it? Okay, yeah.
From Weeds. Was it Weeds? Was that the TV series she was on? I think
no idea.
Bobby, the Ghost of Christmas Future with Bobby Nash says honorable mentions would have been The Mask of Zorro. We did an anniversary watch along for that. Bobby, you were there.
I was on that one. Yes.
Yeah, that was your first time in the virtual movie lounge. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Maybe you'll come back soon and visit us and watch a movie with us. I think you would enjoy it. Ocean's 11, Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan, Tombstone, which, okay. Raiders of the Lost Ark, well, that kind of goes without saying. And round up the usual suspects. No, not that line from the Underfilm. We're talking about a movie that's actually called The Usual Suspects. So, there you go. Well done, Bobby. Well done. Well, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us for Perfect Movies Episode 2. This has been educational. And we probably just listed off 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 different movies for the individual who is watching or listening to this right now to go look up on a streaming service that is located near them, or they can go to a place that sells physical media, which, by the way, not all movies are available on streaming services, so that's why I'm a proponent of physical media. If you have an opportunity to buy some in a mom and pop store or support a small business, please go ahead and do so if you have the time and if you have the spare change. And I'm talking about a lot more than 2 nickels, okay? I'm just saying. But anyway, thank you to our panelists for being with us. Do greatly appreciate all their input, all their lists. They listed a lot of different movies. Some I may not have heard of. Some I need to go sit down and watch. Obviously, Chad has more homework than the average 6th grader has, to do after the show is over. Chad, we're looking at you. And
fair.
And apparently, Case and I have mended our differences on Terminator 2. I still like the movie. I still really respect it. I just don't like it as much as another film, but that's okay. Different strokes for different folks, Case. It's all good. I still like Terminator 2 for different reasons. With that being said, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see this do us again, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. And if you want to see us do a favorite bad movie episode, which I'm sure a few people on this panel would want to jump in.
It needs to happen, right? It needs to happen.
Maybe Bobby Nash has some favorite bad movies and I'm not aware. Maybe he likes Jaws the Revenge. I don't know. Maybe that's on his Maybe Jaws
Jaws Revenge
3D.
is pretty
Jaws-
spectacular.
Wait, they made
3D.
Jaws sequels?
Yeah.
Maybe, hey, Bobby, maybe Jaws 3D is on his list. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
Listen, when Jaws tracked down the people on the island to get revenge, it's best
well,
fucking
at
thing
that
ever.
point, it became really, really personal. So,
Yeah. But you know, and plus, you know, too, we talk about people making stupid decisions. If a shark is chasing you, don't move to where there's water.
do they do that in Jaws
But that's
Revenge a lot?
Yes.
Yeah.
She moves to another island.
Oh,
That's my favorite thing about horror movies is that there's no rules and they just get stupid at times.
True, there are no rules in horror movies. Maybe I need to look this up on the internet. Maybe Austin can send me a PDF document that states
No, that's just the rule. Is that there are no rules in horror movies. That's the rule.
We could do a bad movie panel just on bad shark movies because there are a lot of them.
Oh, like Shark X.
Okay, but you do need to enjoy them.
Yes.
I call this one shark.
Yeah.
Honestly, there are two good.
Sharktopus is great.
Outside of Jaws, the two good shark movies, at least from my standpoint, are what is it called? The Shallows and Deep Blue Sea. Those
Deep
two
Blue
are
Sea-
good shark movies. The rest can take a jump.
Okay, Ryan,
the
you
Meg
can, you
is
can
really
talk about
fun.
Deep Blue Sea on favorite bad movies.
If you want. I think The Shallows is great, though. I think it's
The Meg is
fantastic.
Shallows is good, yeah.
The Shallows is fantastic. Like that's real. That's real good. But anyway, thank you all for joining us. Do greatly appreciate it. Thank everyone for being a part of this. The panelists, the people who are watching this or listening to this. If you're watching this live or on the replay, we thank you for being a part of this. If you have any thoughts about anything we've stated on this show, which I'm sure that you do, don't hesitate to send us a DM or put it in the comments on the replay of this episode of Perfect Movies, Episode 2. Maybe somewhere down the line we'll do Perfect Movies, Episode 3. With a different panel of guests and 5 different movies from each panelist that they think are perfect. Maybe that'll stir things up. Maybe that will. I think I will do a threequel. Maybe we will do that. And not only that, we may do a favorite bad movies episode somewhere down the line.
For your third episode, you need to do a favorite trilogy list. Let everybody just do their favorite trilogy.
But here's the problem. There's a lot of movies that got 4th and 5th.
They were until a certain point. Yeah.
Yeah, they were trilogies until a certain point, but I don't know
I
if we
don't
can
care
do
what
that.
anyone says. Indiana Jones is 3 movies.
Yes, it is.
I would agree.
That's
I would
fair.
agree. Even though I liked portions of Dial of Destiny, I will agree with you. It is a trilogy. It is a trilogy. Because it did end at Last Crusade. Let's be honest. It ended at Last Crusade. When they ride off into the sunset, that's literally the ending of a trilogy.
Sure is.
So, in a lot of different ways. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Chad, I want to say thank you again for being here. If a person who's watching or listening to this wants to find out more about you and the incredible things that you're doing, where can they find you on social media, Chad?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on Facebook at Chad Perkins. You can also find me on Twitter at Casual Nerd Chad, which I'm actually slowly introducing my new horror revenge story about a man who's very angry at a fish. So keep exclusively looking at that. And also, too, on Mondays, I guess I'm part of Carissa Grant's show as well, which is at like 8 to 8:30 on Mondays, so you can catch me at that as well. So, also if you want to take
time,
that is Eastern time, yes. And also too, my book Blue Lullaby, which is a horror crime drama book, which is through Marcosia Enterprises, is currently out now in trade paperback. So please check that out too. So,
well, congratulations on that, man.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here with us, Chad. Do greatly appreciate it. Dave Mattingly, you
Yeah.
good sir. Once again, congratulations on getting married and becoming a part of one of the more elite clubs of America, known as I Got Married. And we lived happily ever after. That doesn't happen very often. But congratulations, and thank you for being a part of this episode, if not experiment. If a person's watching or listening to this, want to find out more about your movie tastes and some of the other things that you're doing, where can they find it?
My website, davemattingly.net. I'm active on Facebook and Clubhouse in the 413 room.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here with us, good sir. Greatly appreciate it. Case, in the beginning you said, I don't know if I can make it through all of this. I don't know if I have the stones for it. But you know what? You were a trooper, and you made it through the entire extended director's cut of this episode of Perfect Movies, Episode 2. You know what that means? That means that you get a gold star by your name on our wall right here in the studio.
Yay!
Hey, yay! If someone wants to know more about you and the great things that you're doing on YouTube, which is your content, where can they find it?
Usually, I don't talk this much movies. I usually just talk about Star Wars on my channel, the Dutch Star Wars Guy on YouTube. I'm also on Twitter at Dutch SW Guy, where at times you might, see me tweet out some of my hot takes, which I think I've shared plenty of tonight, and I have way more. I have hot takes for days if you want to follow me. So that's always fun. And I'm on Letterbox as well. Case247, case spelled this way, not the way that you guys in America know the word. And yeah, it's almost 4 a.m. over here, so it's late, but I'm here. I'm okay.
We're fine. We're all fine here. No, thank you. How are you? Case, thank you for being here, and thanks for everything that you do for us behind the scenes and everything here at And I Quote Channel. We greatly appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck with your content and on your channel, the Dutch Star Wars Guy. Check him out when you get a chance. Bobby Nash, the president of the Jaws fan club, who's certainly going to need a bigger boat after this conversation, and is certainly going to need a bigger mug of coffee when this show ends. But Bobby, first of all, thank you for being a good person, and thank you for being on this panel. If someone wants to know more about you and the award-winning books that you've written thus far, or the ones that you have coming up soon, where can they find them?
BobbyNash.com is my website. There's links to everything there. I'm on all the social medias. All the links are there. I just recently had a 6-book graphic novel series come out from an educational publisher called Abdo, where it's their library books for crime fiction set during real historical events, and they're more aimed at 10 to 12, 15-year-olds. So very excited.
Well, congratulations on that. And I hate to, I don't mean to admit this on national television right now, but I actually want to read those because they look fascinating to me.
You can buy them, but reach out to your local library, and if they don't have, they just came out, so they may not be on the shelves yet, but they will be soon. And there are 6 of them. It's a 6-book set. Yes, crime fiction, historical crime fiction. So it was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Gonna have to look into those. And for the person watching this, you're gonna have to look into that too. BobbyNash.com. Look him up. He's doing some great things over there. And Bobby, once again, thank you for being here, and enjoy watching Jaws for the 5 billionth time.
Yes, my pleasure. Yes.
Tomorrow, when you're done word slinging with your words.
That's right. Well, no, there's a couple on this list here I've not seen yet that we talked about tonight. I may have to bump those up into the list.
Oh, put them to the top of your list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gonna be a lot of fun. Just make sure you bring a bigger boat. So Austin316 says, thank you for being here. And you're a gentleman and a scholar, and apparently you love horror movies almost as much as Michael Rosenbaum from the TV series Smallville does on his podcast, Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Feel free to tune into that. He interviews a lot of horror veterans of the genre. But Austin, if someone wants to know more about you and the incredible things that you specifically are doing on social media, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can mostly find me over on the Movie Hero Network. It's right below my name right there. Just search that on YouTube. You'll find it. We would love to get your subscription over there, and love for you guys come over and check out some of our content. We have all kinds of shows almost every day. Plenty of different things. We got tournament fights, tier ranker fights, podcasts about movies, Podcast League Now, the Lonely Marks Wrestling Podcast, Wheel of Movies, Seen and Heard Movie Trivia, all kinds of great stuff over on the Movie Hero Network. So yeah, I co-host most of that content over there, so you can come find me, and you'll probably see me on here a lot on almost every watch along here on And I Quote. So you'll hear more of my tangents and my musings on movies. But if you want to hear more of me, you can head over there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll definitely save you a seat for the future of this channel, because you might as well just be the co-host of almost everything.
I'm a professional co-host over on the Movie Hero Network, and you know what? What's another channel and what's another 30 shows a month? No big deal.
You and Case should just make yourselves comfortable on the couch here on the studio and just hang out with us for a good while. But Austin, in all seriousness, though, thank you so much for being here and contributing your thoughts and your feelings and some of the great films that you mentioned. If someone who's watching or listening to this, they can check out any of those movies on streaming services or physical media, I should say. So thanks for being with us, man. Do greatly appreciate it. My name is Ryan of And I Quote Channel. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram personally at RyanRPM5. Follow all the links for all of our guests in the description below. They're located there. You can check them out. Follow all the great things that they're doing. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We've reached over 904 subscribers now on our channel. We're this close to hitting 1,000. Once we do, we're going through a great big live stream celebration. It's going to include returning favorites, some special guests, special giveaways that you, the person who's watching or listening to this, can actually win. 11x17 prints brought to you by our good friend, The Art of John Pinto, on Facebook. So make sure you check him out. But in the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell to be notified when our new videos go up or they go live. Lots of great things coming your way. All the links are located on our social medias, including the watch-alongs, the Nerdy Cantina, where we talk about Star Wars and a whole bunch of other things. And remember, life is better when discovering new movies or rediscovering some classic movies or watching movies with your family or your friends. Take a look.
So you make movies, huh?
I produce feature motion pictures.
I got an idea for a movie. That's good, Ray.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha, yeah.
No, please.
What's the matter?
Do we have to hear the kissing part?
Someday you may not mind so much.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
I'm in love with you.
Snap out of it. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
I'm a man.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Were you always funny?
Hey, what is this, an interview? We're supposed to be making love.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
I'll have what she's having.
If you win, you win. If you lose, you still win.
I'll be back.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
All right, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.